All right. So I'm pretty new to this live streaming, but I'm excited to do it, and I hope everybody can hear me. Got no viewers right now, which is totally a-okay with me, because I will release this as a recording later. Now, what I'm trying to do in today's live stream is kind of kill two birds with one stone. Number one, I'm just trying out some new cool stuff. I'm trying out StreamYard. And this is interesting because I get to show these banners, which is pretty awesome. I'm drinking boba. So I can show that, and I can, oh, which camera is it here? I'm drinking Mr. Sun, but it's almost gone and I'm really sad. All right, anyways, I am having fun with this. And so I'm also, okay, the other thing about this streaming software that's cool is that besides the banners that I can change here, I can actually also see people's comments and then post the comments on the screen as they show up. So if you have comments, put them there so I can test out this feature. But shout out to my classmate Munir for showing me StreamYard. Now what I'm gonna do today is, I had recently gotten this, how do I open this? Come on. I had gotten this interview email that's basically saying okay, let me back up here. There's this thing called Kernel Community. It's a curated community of brilliance in Web3. This is what this says on their website. We are building an open peer-to-peer lifelong network of the most talented individuals in the blockchain space, one block at a time. And I think since this one is KB4, they're on the 4th iteration, which is pretty cool. They're moving pretty fast. It's a new thing that just popped out. Each block accommodates 250 individuals and runs for 8 weeks. It is a unique experience. Together, we are joyfully subverting the status quo. So I had heard about this Kernel community on Twitter, and also primarily through Liz Strong on Twitter. I am Legendary. She's someone who's really cool, someone you should definitely watch out for if you're trying to get into the Web3 crypto space, because she's been doing an amazing job teaching people about crypto on TikTok. You can see her pinned tweet. I did a 10-part TikTok series with multiple plots and settings and themes covering DeFi, banking, interest rates, borrowing and lending, inflation, write-offs, DAOs, compound finance, risk management. So many things. Highest views on one video was 822K views. So she's doing some amazing work, and she's really built up and put a lot of effort into this over the past year. And so honestly, she's one of my role models. So we were able to get on a call. She found out I was doing some crypto stuff, and she tipped me off to this Kernel community. She's part of it. And she said that it was a really great cohort of people who would just have so much energy, and they're so diverse in terms of what they're doing in the blockchain space, whether it's starting a company or helping out with another person's startup, or she's making TikToks and educating people about crypto. So anyways, long story short, it sounded pretty interesting, so I applied. And they said that there's going to be an interview, and the interview will be conversation style, and it will be Junto style, which I'm guessing that just means a conversation with all of the other interviewees. We can take a look at this real quick. Junto style interview. I think I had looked at this previously, and this is the Wikipedia link. So we're currently looking at what is Junto style. Let me add a banner here. What is a Junto style interview? Okay, so this is what we're looking at here. So the Junto, also known as the Leather Apron Club, was a club for mutual improvement. Okay, that immediately to me, that sounds like what the brand is that they're going for with the Kernel community, where kind of everybody who goes into the community is helping each other out. The Leather Apron Club's purpose was to debate questions of morals, politics, and natural philosophy, and to exchange knowledge of business affairs. Okay, cool. And Benjamin Franklin, man, he's an OG. Looks like he was the person who first started this. And it's from the Spanish word junta, or assembly. Okay, I get it. It's like a group of people who are coming together to share knowledge about and specifically about this chapter from the kernel book. Okay, cool. Let's just get into it. Let's get into it. So this is the kernel book. And in this email, they had specifically linked to module 2, asking better questions. And I'm guessing it's not just asking better questions, it's the entire module. I think that's what the chapter is referring to. But anyways, I'm just going to read through the whole book because I feel like it's a good way to, get to know what kernel is and get to know what these people are doing in this burgeoning community. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take some notes here, and then I'll probably share these notes on the YouTube video description afterwards. So if people want to, read through my notes, that's great. If you don't, that's fine. And you have questions, then just put them into the comments. I see I have one viewer. Oh, it's just me. Okay, no one's viewing it so far. That's fine. It's fine. All right, cool. Actually, how about this? Let me share this real quick. Share. I'm doing Crypto.io stuff. Okay. Currently trying out my first live stream. I'm going to explore the kernel book from kernel. Web3 community is all about. All right, cool. So this is exciting. I'm following this NFT project, Crypto.io, and it is crazy right now. Cool. Anyways, so module 0. Let's see. I'm going to change this to reading the kernel handbook. Module 0. There we go. Okay, cool. So that's what we're going to do. Okay. All right. So Kernel is an 8-week program, and we'll be covering a new learning module each week. Each module is made up of 2 sections: crafted reading, which we will expect you to have read before the beginning of each new week, and curated material, which is made up of articles, videos, and the occasional podcast that we highly recommend you go over before the fireside chat each week. Okay, so it's a bunch of stuff that you can prepare beforehand. Great. I love that because you can usually come into the discussion prepared and ready to actually share ideas, make things. The Learn track aims to provide a more holistic framing of what Web3 is. Its principles, history, and present state. We know that different people, is this the right one here? Let me just check my email. Kernel book. Yeah, okay, great. Learn. Cool. We're good. All right, so more holistic framing of what Web3 is, its principal, history, and present state. We know that different people learn differently, hence the mix of text, video, and audio. The crafted reading section in each week is compulsory. You'll need to have read it to participate fully in this week's activities. Okay, so I can already tell this is going to be a pretty comprehensive thing, because even like in this introduction, there's like 5 sections. Module 1 has a bunch of sections. And then for each of these sections, there's like all this stuff. So I'm not going to be going in super in depth into everything. I'm already 10 minutes into the stream here. I'm just going to read the intro here, and then I'm going to go into the module 2 and prepare for the Junto style interview. Okay, so that's the plan. So spaced repetition, let's just kind of read the introduction first because that's important. Spaced repetition, based on work we'll cover in module 3, Kernel aims to present learning in a new kind of medium which integrates a spaced repetition memory system. So flashcards, okay? This means you'll need to return to do future reviews. Each full module, including curated content, will take a few hours to read. Okay, that confirms my hypothesis from earlier. In a conventional course, you forget most of what you learn over time, perhaps retaining a handful of ideas. However, with spaced repetition, a small additional commitment of time means that you'll remember significantly more. Doing this won't be difficult. It'll be easier than the initial read. Furthermore, you'll be able to read other material which builds on these ideas. It will open up an entire world. Please indulge us by answering the questions you find in the text. For each question, think about what you believe the answer to be. Click to reveal the actual answer and then mark whether you remembered it or not. If you can recall, that's great. If not, that's also true. Fine. Just note the correct answer and continue. The spaced repetition approach is why the questions only require a few seconds to read and answer. They're not complex exercises in the style of a textbook. Rather, the questions have a different point. The promise each question makes is that you will remember the answer forever. It's to permanently change your thinking. Okay. What is my purpose? To help me learn in a new way? To change how you think and to pass the matter. That's a reference to Rick and Morty, I think. Cool. I'm gonna call that remembered. Okay, cultured conversation. Meaningful conversation can only take place in a culture of respect and courtesy between people who are capable of seeing their highest ideals in others and who can recognize and reflect the essential sameness which lies in the heart of each and every human being. That's a cool way of putting it. We tend to only engage in conversations in which we think we can take something away from, be it new knowledge, an altered perspective, or an inside story we can leverage for our own gain. However, kernel conversations are about humility, presence, and a genuine attentiveness towards others, not because you stand to benefit from them, but because cultivating these three capacities within yourself is its own reward, which may allow you to see clearly the complete and perfect sacred core of every person you encounter. What's perfectly whole seems flawed, but you can use it forever. What's perfectly full seems empty, but you can't use it up. True straightness looks crooked. Great skill looks clumsy. Real eloquence seems to stammer. Ironic. To be comfortable in the cold, keep moving. To be comfortable in the heat, hold still. To be comfortable in the world, stay calm and clear. Wow, very zen, very zen. Okay, cool. I'm liking the vibe so far, but I'm curious to see like whether the information actually holds up to all of this zen intro talk. Cool. I think I'm going to go through the rest of the introduction and then just skip to module 2. So let's go to the next section here, the play of pattern. And I'm always curious to see what people are saying. Hey, Albert, love your story. Wanted to connect. Okay, cool. Yeah, maybe we'll chat with this guy later. Cool. So the play of pattern. Kernel does not provide concrete answers. We're here to ask better questions. That's always good, I would say, because what are the best ways to learn? I think by phrasing a question, by wording a question, you're really starting to create the groundwork, the framework to make your brain receptive to new ideas. And oftentimes it could kind of pave the way to a new direction. So I like that. This is because there are no simple one-size-fits-all answers to the questions we're interested in learning about and teaching. That is what makes them good questions. Our intention is to give you the framework to begin thinking in transformative ways about the most important questions raised by this Web3 world we're building together. Kernel fellows will separate themselves by the ability to identify patterns. Oh, these are some cool patterns. Pattern recognition is at the core of cognition. This is so true. When I was studying for when I was studying for software engineering interviews, the biggest improvement in results came after I had just repeatedly hammered out lead code questions, just practice interview questions. Even though like everybody hates that that's kind of how the industry is evolving. They hate that it's this own like game and like skill that you have to perfect. It helped me so much because it gave me all this pattern recognition on the programming language syntax I was using, as well as data structures and just how do I even talk out loud while I'm coding, stuff like that. So totally agree with that. Becoming more conscious of patterns which already exist, as well as how you choose to interact with those in your local environment, is the single best thing you can do to improve your critical thinking skills. True. Okay, in particular, we hope kernel fellows begin thinking in terms of complementary opposites. Rather than using dualities like decentralization good, concentration bad, or DeFi is innovative, fiat is boring, this style of thinking recognizes that there's no good without evil, no attraction without repulsion, no north without south, no up without down. We can describe this as quantum thought, being able to contemplate both 0 and 1 simultaneously and the spectrum of probability between. If you can hold this all in superposition without any grasping after certainty, you can process significantly more information per qubit and so make more effective decisions because the lack of certainty humbles you. Okay, I mean, I like that, but practically speaking, the way I see it is not that I agree. Like this type of thought is counterproductive in terms of learning. Like you shouldn't. It's not good to make it so black and white and say that this thing is always this way, this thing is on the opposite and always that way. But at the same time, I agree with that. And what I guess what I'm kind of like hesitating on after reading this paragraph is process significantly more information per qubit. Okay, let's just move on. I guess I get what they're saying. Like just don't black and white box everything. And that way you can keep your mind open to kind of both sides, quote unquote, of a debate. Okay, question. This way of thought is intended to identify the interplay of what kind of pattern? What way of thought? The complementary opposites way of thought is intended to identify the interplay of what kind of pattern? The interplay of multiple ideas? Complementary opposites. Oh, quantum thought. Okay, that's confusing because this could be referring to quantum thought or it could be referring to complementary opposites because that's what they had introduced. But okay, I'll just say I didn't remember this. Okay, cool. Kernel fellows should have humility. We cannot be sure what the effect of our actions will be. We can only cultivate an acute observational awareness, which will guide us towards making the right trade-offs. Okay, that makes sense to me because you can't ever feel like you're 100% sure and you know how everything will turn out. So just do the best you can with what you have. If you want to change the world will inevitably act back and change you. The results of Web 2 applications have made this clear. The greater our collective humility, the more gentle this exchange will be as Web 3 comes to life. Okay, sure. The critical idea here is that thinking consciously about trade-offs and developing the ability to hold many different possibilities in mind simultaneously without allowing personal bias to obscure your view of all possible futures allows you to pick the middle way more often than not. Fair, fair. What characteristic has the greatest effect on choosing the most constructive trade-offs? What? The humility. It's bolded, right? Are they just asking me bolded things? Humility. Okay, great. Got that one, finally. The honest question. Those who have positively changed the world were able to do so because they learned how to negotiate complexity rather than impose their own will on things. They answered their own questions as honestly and directly as they could, playing with pattern recognition as a framework for thought and training ourselves to become conscious of the constant interplay of complementary opposites. This is gonna be a wrap. Playing with pattern recognition as a frame for thought and training ourselves to become conscious of the constant interplay of complementary opposites. I'm sorry. As a means of cultivating presence leads us to one very simple query. What is the question to which you are the universe's answer? And its equally direct corollary. How can you respond most honestly, accurately, and lovingly? That's beautiful. I like that. I'm going to keep this. Let's keep this whole paragraph here. Where'd it go? Okay, I like this. Those who have positively changed the world were able to do so because they learned how to negotiate complexity rather than impose their own will on things. They answered their own questions as honestly and as directly as they could. Yeah, okay. Ask good questions and go the middle ground. Ask good questions. Keep your mind open. Don't impose. Or I don't like the don't impose part because I feel like sometimes when you're leading and when you're executing, you almost have to impose. But I think from a learning perspective, I agree. Like you can't impose everything you believe because you only know so much. Playing with pattern recognition framework leads us to. I no offense to the writers, but I don't like this sentence because it's just so complicated. And training ourselves to become conscious of the constant interplay of complementary opposites as a means of cultivating presence. Basically, what this is saying is like, if you're focused and you're also clear-headed about complicated things, then you'll be able to ask this question. And the question you'll ask is, what's the question to which you are the universe's answer? There's like, it's like I feel like the logic in this is kind of, it's like hard to compose in your head, but like no hate. It's just no hate to the author. Just the sentence is a little, leads us to okay, you know what? I don't need any of this intro. I just want to jot this down. What is the question to which you are the universe's answer? All right, and while I'm at it, I think I'm just going to rewrite this paragraph. I'm going to rewrite it because it's bothering me a little. Okay. Those who have positively changed the world were able to do so because they learned how to negotiate complexity. Those who have positively changed the world did so by negotiating complexity, rather than impose their own will on things. Sure, fine. They answered their own questions as honestly and directly as they could. Yeah, I like that. Playing with pattern recognition as a framework for thought and training ourselves to become conscious of the constant interplay of complementary opposites as a means of cultivating presence leads us to one very simple query. What is the question to which you are the universe's answer? Okay, how do I summarize this? By allowing yourself to honestly consider, by allowing yourself to calmly consider complementary opposites. Also, complementary opposites, is this a thing? Why can't we just say like paradoxes? I feel like it's a word that people know more. Opposites. There are two halves of the, okay, all right, fine. I dig it. By allowing yourself to calmly consider complementary opposites as a means of cultivating presence. I get what that's saying. It's kind of like if you're allowing yourself to like navigate between these complementary opposites and you're giving yourself space to do that, then you can also give yourself space to be present instead of like elsewhere. Yeah. By allowing yourself to calmly consider complementary opposites, you can cultivate presence. And it all boils down to one question. And it all, I think like everything in life, that's like too simple of a way to put it. By allowing yourself to calmly consider complementary opposites, you can cultivate presence, and everything in life boils down to one question. What is the question to which you are the universe's answer? To one idea, how about that? What is the question to which you are the universe's answer? All right, cool. So I took a detour there, but that is the thing that we are getting out of this first sub-module. Let's go to trust. What is trust and why is it on the list of core learning objectives? Bitcoin began with maxim, don't trust, verify. That is, trust can only begin where verification ends. Trust is only meaningful once we have fully understood how people can lie. Okay, I like that. And that's kind of like a complementary opposite idea. And I see that highlighted down here. It's kind of like you can't have truth without lies. So understand both in order to really understand the system. Because we can codify the ways in which it is possible to cheat, we can also write executable software rules with deterministic results that prevent cheating in the protocols we use to define and transfer value. Make sense? This demonstrates how we use complementary opposites as a mode of thought to identify patterns of meanings. Where does this link go? Oh, that's cool. It kind of takes you to where it was defined. That's nice. We can build protocols with strong trust guarantees by defining clearly and encoding what it means to lie. To understand trust, you must know the details of all possible deceptions. Yeah, that kind of makes sense. And that's what makes designing protocols so hard, because you want to incentivize all the players correctly and positively, but sometimes there are incentives that you codify that impact everybody in a pretty bad negative way, or there's loopholes or something. Such rules do not mean we need no longer. Such rules do not mean we need no longer trust at all. It means that there's an implicit shift from trusting those who own the media by which we transfer value to those with whom we are actually transacting. Such rules, what does that refers to? To understand trust, you must know the details of all possible deceptions. I guess that's what it's referring to. Anyways, how can we build protocols with strong trust guarantees? We have to understand all the ways people can lie and cheat. By defining clearly and encoding what it means to lie. Yep. Okay. Vires in numeris. The above. Actually, I kind of wanted to. I like this one. Trust is only meaningful once we. Complementary opposites. This is only meaningful once we have fully understood how people can lie. I'm going to put this as examples. I'm going to delete this because I don't need it. Okay. The above is another early Bitcoin maxim, which means strength in numbers. It goes back to Pythagoras, for whom all things are numbers. The implicit shift towards trusting those we're actually transacting with is enabled due to a fundamental change in the language by which value is defined. Instead of regulatory fiat enforced by legal pros and human courts backed by threat of violence, Bitcoin enables a network of peers to create the conditions required for a functional currency through mathematics alone, enforced by deterministic computation. Yep. This saying holds this double entendre, which implies that both that using numbers and mathematical consensus gives us the strength to lay down what Andreas Antonopoulos would later call unassailable facts, while also pointing at that which gives power and meaning to any narrative, the community which believes it. The more succinctly we can express the shared truths, the easier it becomes to verify the systems we use. This implies that trust has something to do with truth. Okay, cool. I'll take it. Vires in numeris, strength in numbers. Trust has something to do with truth. Yeah, okay. I agree with that. I mean, I think truth is, on some level, it's just the stories that we tell to each other in our friend groups. So, yeah. It is a profound feedback loop. Using universal language to define succinctly what it means to cheat, enforce penalties in a deterministic and executable way based on your definitions, which allows more humans to experiment with interpersonal trust in ways previously unimaginable. To dream up important ideas, you must think like an idealist. To build systems that will live up to those dreams, you must think like an adversary. Yeah, that makes sense. How can we make it easier to verify and trust the systems we use? Use a profound feedback loop. By succinctly expressing shared truth. Okay, I thought this was referring to like how can we build just like systems that are easier to verify and trust. But okay, never mind. Did not remember that. Okay, accessibility. Ultimately, we're not interested in trust based on blind faith. We're interested in deterministic verifiability between peers. The Bitcoin source code can be audited by anyone, but also access. Trust in the practical data have a lot of transfer in education. This requires a certain kind of architectural innovation in the very structure of money. No more clients and servers. Everyone needs to be a peer. Please read the next peer-to-peer money talk suggestions for what peer-to-peer architecture money and what money as a protocol might come to mean in our time. As Nikki Case highlights below, it all comes down to fundamental game theoretic insight. We are each other's environment. Yeah, I think that's like one of the craziest things about Web3 that I'm even experiencing myself as I'm getting into like NFTs and DeFi and everything like that. It's like, well, I still think there's like servers in the sense that there are miners, and the miners of blockchains, or the, I guess the stakers and the validators, they kind of make sure that the whole system is secure and running. And then on top of that, I see what's happening. I agree with what's happening in this paragraph, which is that everybody is a peer. But I feel like just with the separation of different players in the blockchain space, there's still kind of like a back end and a front end, but it's just like different now. Okay, cool. Well, we are each other's environment. I agree with that sentiment. It's not even a sentiment, sorry. I agree with that. That insight is something I resonate with. Let me put it that way. Okay. Of course, all this raises what is truth. Know that we're interested in shared truth above consensus. Absolute truth is beyond the scope of this course, though you can use it the same way framework to think about it. One does not approach an absolute by trying to define it, but through being clear about what it is not. If you are honest and clear enough, then whatever is left after all of your negation must necessarily be the truth. Okay, and there's a link. To negatives. Okay, I'll read that later. This is a really wonderful interactive web game design teacher. I think you might about game theory. Enjoy. I feel like I've probably seen. Yep, this is the one. This has gone viral before, but it's just so good. I'm gonna turn off the thing. But yeah, you can read through the intro. It's basically about game theory and how different incentives change what actions people would prefer to do. So you have one choice. In front of you is a machine. Let me change the banner here. So game of trust. Okay. Cool. So you have one choice. In front of you is a machine. If you put a coin in the machine, the other player gets 3 coins and vice versa. You both can either choose to cooperate or cheat. Okay. Let's say the other person cheats and doesn't put in a coin. Then I would probably want to cheat, right? Because otherwise... Well, I don't know. Like, I could give them a game, right? I mean, there's no objective here, and it doesn't matter if they have more coins than me, right? So what if I just hit cooperate? If you cooperate and they cheat, you lose a coin while they gain 3. Okay, okay. So that tells me this is the score we're optimizing for. Fair enough. However, you both cheat, neither of you gain or lose anything. Therefore, you should cheat. Okay, fine. Let's say the other player cooperates and you put in a coin. What should you do now? I should cooperate, right? That's not true, because if I cheat, then I get more. Because if you both cooperate, you both gain 3. But if you cheat and they cooperate, you gain 3 coins at the cost of 1. Therefore, you should still cheat. So that is the dilemma. You'll be playing against 5 different opponents, each with their own game strategy. With each opponent, you'll play anywhere between 3 to 7 rounds. You won't know in advance when the last round is. Can you trust them, or rather, can they trust you? Okay, cool. So I'm a pretty positive dude, so I'm just going to cooperate. Cool. I'm going to cooperate again. All right, this seems pretty chill. We're just cooperating, so that's pretty nice. I mean, I could backstab him right now and come out on top, and I would win. And I feel like that's the right thing to do because that's the goal here. But I'm a nice dude, so I'm just going to keep cooperating. And we're just going to keep doing this because I like this guy. All right, this one has a bowler hat on. Seems kind of shady. And is an absolute stranger, so I'm just going to cheat. Ooh, both cheated. Let's try cooperating. Ah, they got me. They got me. All right. I feel like I'm totally judging based on the clothing here, but I feel like this character is going to cooperate. So if I just cheat every time, I think I'll come out on top. Yeah. Okay. Yep. Poor character. All right, this guy. Let's do cooperate. And let's do cheat. Oh. And then let's do cooperate. And let's do cooperate. Oh, okay. They're just cheating now forever. I see. Let's cooperate. I'm just gonna cooperate with this guy. I like his hat. Oh no. Oh, he's alternating. I think. Copycat, always cheat. Always cooperate. Grudger. If you cheat back, I'll act like copycat. If you never cheat back, I'll act like always cheat. It's tournament time. Each character will now play against every other character. There's 10 paired matches and 10 rounds per match. What do you think we'll get at the highest total score? Place your bets. I think the cheater will get the highest score. Because they're always optimizing and never losing. Huh. I feel like I got this wrong last time too. Live and let live. That's why peace could emerge in the trenches of World War I. You're forced to play the games with specific people over and over again. Copycat doesn't just win the battle, it wins the war. Or we play multiple tournaments. Who do you think will win the first tournament? Okay, so there'll be rounds, and then they eliminate the people who lose after each round. I mean, the cheaters and the copycats. I forget what the copycat strategy was. Starts with cooperate, then it simply repeats whatever you did in the last round. Cheaters. Cheaters are gonna win. Wait. Oh, because the people who cooperate with each other are getting higher scores than when the cooperate and the cheaters don't. So that's why these guys are getting higher scores, because they're playing round robin with everybody, right? So at least every time you pair up with these guys, their scores are higher. Interesting. Interesting. Yep. Copycats can play nice with each other while always cheats just cheat themselves. Not only that, but it also means copycat can give always cheat a taste of their own medicine. Yeah, this is cool. I mean, I'm like really learning it deeply this time. And so as a result, play the tournament. Oh, sorry. Last one. Copycat inherits the earth. So in the short term, you're wise. Always shoot one of the first few rounds, but in the end is exploitativeness. What is downfall? This reminds me of a quote. We are punished by our sins, not for them. That's pretty good. Aim of trust. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you, as not just a moral truth, but also a mathematical truth. But there is a problem. If copycat is the strategy in this reader, that's so powerful. This repeated game of trust. So far, we only talk about changing the players, about changing the game. Under our current rules, copycat wins because you play for 10 rounds, but is it still true at 7, 5, 3, or 2? So what's different here is the number of rounds. If the number of rounds changes, that means the number of repeat interactions you have with people are changing. So if it decreases, then I think the more selfish strategies are becoming more valuable. So let's do 1. Yep. And then let's do 2. I want to try that again. It seems like it was possible to have. No, it wasn't. Okay, let's do 3. Is 3 the threshold? Nope. And it's funny because they all get 0. 4. Nope. 5. Nope. 7. Okay. So for this system, 7 is the minimum. What about 20? Yeah. As you saw, if you don't always play enough rounds, always cheat dominates. We now have fewer friends across class because we have fewer friends, period. The fewer repeat interactions there are, the more distrust will spread. This is one reason why I really love Twitter, because I can kind of make Twitter friends and I'll have people I interact with every day on Twitter, which is pretty cool. Because I DM people on Twitter now and I've been able to hop on Zoom calls and stuff. There's another way to breed distrust. Here are the payoffs for the trust game. Yep. The lower women reward always she takes over. Yeah. As cool as copycat is, it has a huge fatal weakness I haven't mentioned. To understand the problem, let's say 2 copycats are playing against each other. Being nice players, both their first moves would be cooperate. That's true. Yeah. Copy kitten. That's cute. Doesn't always cooperates versus our old winner, the fair copycat, and our 3 new characters, the copy kitten, the dull simpleton. What does the simpleton do again? Starts with cooperate, and then if you cooperate, it repeats. But if you cheated, it switches its last move. Okay. So it toggles if you cheat. If each round of a match, players have a small chance of making a mistake. Who do you think will come out on top? The forgiving one, I guess. But the forgiving one, let's say you take advantage of that one and you just cheat the first time every time. Then it would be basically like always cooperates and get owned. I think, what about random? I feel like random's the sleeper pick here. There's a chance, that random gets the right thing. But there aren't any cheaters here. But there is the 5% mistake. But maybe that's not enough to throw the copycats off. I'm gonna go with copy kitten. Nope. Simpleton can exploit always cooperate. They both start cooperating, but if Simpleton makes a mistake and cheats, always cooperate never around allies, it'll keep cheating them. Oh, I see. If you cooperated, then it just repeats. That makes sense. Instead of half always hits, half always cheats. Much less forgiving, more hostile environment. Copycat. Oh! Copycat versus copy kitten. Huh. Wait, it did wipe it out eventually. Interesting. Okay. So there are 3 things we need for the evolution of trust. Interaction. What the game is defines what the players do. To live and let live. That's beautiful. Ah, that's beautiful. I like this. I would want to get a print of this. Christmas Truce. Look at this there.
Christmas Eve, 1914. The war was supposed to be over by now.
Extra history. This channel is so good. This channel is so good because they make such good quality education that's entertaining.
The Christmas Truce is one of the most poignant events of the First World War, a time when men rose up above the madness of the conflict and for just a moment saw each other as fellow humans. This is an event that definitely did happen. Thousands of men laid down arms in the truce, but a century of retelling has also kind of sanded down its rough edges and oversimplified its messy reality. Indeed, this event wasn't just a result of pure human spirit and holiday cheer. It was a host of unique factors that drove these enemies to spontaneously experience no man's land. And really, it may not have been all that spontaneous. Small armistices were happening every day. As frontline troops became accustomed to the trench warfare, they learned that looking the other way now and then could bring a shred of safety and calm to their lives. The armies ate meals at the same time, which patrols frequently ignored each other, adopting a live and let live attitude. Troops often shouted to each other across the line. After all, the autumn winter had passed, and both sides were waiting out the winter. In reality, the weather was the primary enemy for both sides. The high water table at Flanders was always filling with water, sometimes collapsing and burying within cities. Trying to keep themselves out of the wet. Food supplies had to be hung up on government inlets, and that winter had been particularly miserable. Weeks of rain flooded the dugouts. Now, British Field Marshal Sir John French had noticed the hands-off attitude his men were developing towards the enemy, and so he ordered attacks in late December to boost morale, and this resulted in heavy British losses. Concerned about possible fraternization over the holiday, he issued orders that no unofficial armistice would be tolerated. Morale was much better over in the German trenches. After all, they were winning, but many men were also experiencing their first holiday away from home. Knowing that this would be difficult, commanders brought Christmas gifts, shipping thousands of presents to the field. They received a gift from the Kaiser, cigar boxes for NCOs, a pipe with the crown prince on it for the ranks. The British, for their part, received a brass box from Princess Mary filled with cigarettes, tobacco, a Christmas card, and sweets.
Wow.
And then there were personal boxes. Enterprises sprang up, offering family members a chance to send these boxes to the troops. British soldiers received plum puddings and 1,000-pound boxes of cigarettes. German and Austrian troops were bombarded with chocolate and salami and cognac. Both sides received winter clothing. In truth, though, the gifts were kind of easy. I mean, there was nowhere to put them. Soldiers had no place to store 1,000 cigarettes. But that Christmas Eve was a true gift. The rain stopped, and the season started. Dry cold froze the mud into a hard surface, almost like a floor. Snow dusted the countryside. That afternoon, the gunfire dwindled, and the the weather just seemed to be peaceful. By the weather, started putting bombs up on their troop parapets, and then the German line started singing. Over on the British parapets, watchmen of the Scots Guard saw lines of lights along the enemy trench. At first, they suspected an attack, but then they heard an ethereal sound drifting across no man's land. Stille Nacht, Heilige Nacht, the original Austrian version of Silent Night. Sensing a challenge, Guards Officer Lieutenant Sir Edward Holtz decided that they should drown this out with their own pair. The sides went back and forth, but soon the competition merged into a harmony of Good King Wenceslas and Old Lang Syne. The men began shouting Christmas greetings across the line, jokingly at first. A few even stepped out to talk. Holtz didn't know it, but the same thing was happening up and down the entire British line. Agreements formed. In some sectors, the officers met at the wire and shook hands, agreeing to cease hostilities the next day. In other areas, the ranks took the lead, Germans shouting across no man's land, English, tomorrow if you no shoot, we no shoot. At times, it was just one brave soul walking into no man's land, waving a newspaper. These overtures were extremely dangerous. Though peace was breaking out in certain areas, it didn't happen everywhere. One British regiment responded to German caroling with a machine gun blast. Some unarmed soldiers were gunned down trying to broker this holiday armistice. But in most sectors, the ceasefire held. This truce mostly happened between German and British units. The French and the Belgians, whose countries were under German occupation, were less inclined. There were agreements to bury the dead and cease hostilities, but not as much fraternization. Yet a Bavarian unit held fire during a French mass, and both sides halted fighting long enough for a guest, a soloist from the Paris Opera, to make a performance. British Indian troops, who were a bit unfamiliar with this whole Christmas deal, saw the lit German trees and thought of their own holiday of Diwali. They held fire, but also held position, until some Germans tempted them out of the trenches with cigars and cigarettes. Soon the men were smoking together on the parapet. That Christmas night, the troops slept in sublime quiet. Christmas Day dawned, bright and cold, the sky clear for the first time in weeks. To their shock, British troops looked across no man's land to see the Germans walking around on their parapets. Such a thing was suicidal in daylight, and that gesture of trust, more than anything, lured a few British out. It was heaven to at last stand up straight and walk on solid earth. Some had ventured into no man's land on Christmas Eve, but in daylight it was impossible to ignore the bodies lying between the trenches. The two sides buried their dead in common graves, grieving side by side in joint services, listening to the faraway sounds of battle from other sectors. And that shared experience broke down the wall. Soldiers milled about together in no man's land, swapping overabundant gifts from home. British beef for uniform buttons, chocolate cake for barrels of beer. They exchanged hats. One German barber gave haircuts. The men chatted, and after all, they shared so much in common. They lived in the same fields under the same rain, and they were equally sick of war. Besides, they were curious. What was life like on the other side? Who were these enemies? One British officer was perplexed to learn that his new German friend believed the armies of the Kaiser fought for freedom. That was impossible, the officer responded. We're fighting for freedom. Amid this, Lieutenant Holtz found himself...
This reminds me of Attack on Titan.
...of the 15th Westphalians, who had something to pass on, a Victoria Cross and a packet of letters. An English officer had died in the German trench during the last attack. Perhaps he could give these to the man's family? Touched, Holtz removed his own silk scarf, a gift from home, and presented it in thanks. Thomas, embarrassed that he had nothing to give in return, sent a soldier to fetch the fur gloves that his family had sent. Up and down the line, men started bringing out footballs. Kickabouts broke out, with men from both sides chasing the ball among shell holes and sliding on the frozen ground. In one sector, a group of Highlanders challenged a Saxon regiment, who burst out laughing whenever a kilt flew up during play. But not all of this activity was goodwill. On both sides, a few used the gathering to reconnoiter enemy trenches, and both sides used the time to repair dugouts. Of course, for some, this fraternization appeared false. One British soldier flashed his squad mate a hidden dagger, while another refused to smoke German cigarettes, fearing that they might be poisoned. When one squad of Bavarians discussed whether to meet the British, their corporal snapped at them. Such a thing should not happen in wartime. Have you no German sense of honor left at all? They weren't surprised. The night before, the same soldier had refused to join the unit's Christmas service. Corporal Hitler was odd like that, but his disapproval reflected the general's view. This was exactly the situation that Field Marshal French had feared. Commanders dispatched senior officers to threaten disciplinary action and insist that the men restart the war. In some sectors, the armistice came to an orderly close. Officers from both sides saluted and fired revolvers into the air, signaling that, all right, the war was back on. In a few places, troops resisted until nearly to New Year's Eve, but the generals would not have it. German command dispatched snipers to break the ceasefire. French ordered an artillery barrage, letting the machinery of war roll over the human connections of the frontline troops. Nothing like this Christmas truce would happen again. The generals wouldn't allow it. On Christmas Eve 1915, British officers ordered a 24-hour artillery barrage. Men who tried to form a truce were court-martialed. Machine guns drowned out German carols. But the generals needn't have bothered. The spirit of that truce was unique to 1914, a symptom of a young war. By Christmas 1915, those troops had experienced chlorine gas and creeping bombardments. Zeppelins were bombing London. The Battle of Verdun would end just before the holiday, leaving 750,000 casualties. Indeed, many of the men who celebrated in no man's land that day would never see another Christmas. One of those unlucky ones was Lieutenant Sir Edward Holtz, who had sung carols and given a German officer his silk scarf. He died 3 months later while trying to save a wounded comrade. He was 25. And yet, Holtz is not remembered today for his military achievements, or even the book of letters that his friends published after his death. He and so many others are remembered for a victory entirely their own. when a group of brave men ventured into the line of fire, trusting their enemies not to shoot, and believing that humanity was better than the bonfire it had built for itself. Happy holiday, everybody.
What a great story. What a great story. What a great story. Do I order one of these prints? That's really expensive. I'm just gonna print it myself later. All right, back on track here. Cool. So we aim for kernel to be a high trust, give first community on the high. Hey, they snapshotted this thing too. Nice. Okay, cool. Money talks. Peer-to-peer money in a historical context. This slightly older Andreas Antonopoulos talk is part of a playlist which is enormously valuable against in our current study. It was one of the first elements from cultural artifacts. How does this fit into kernel? This talk provides a historical context for money and outlines why Bitcoin is important within that context. It has been chosen for kernel in particular because it speaks particularly to money in speech, value in the broadest and most historical sense, and meaning. Okay, cool. Let's watch this. Oh, geez, this is really long.
Talk about the latest things in Bitcoin, but really what I want to talk about is ancient history. I want to provide a historical context for money. Talk about why Bitcoin is important in this historical context. So first, a little pop quiz for the audience. If you think of money as technology, as a technological system that human civilization has invented, how old is this technology? Any ideas? How old is the money technology? Lots of different answers here. It's always surprising to me when people will say, it's 400 years old, 1,000 years old, 2,000 years old. In fact, we don't really know how old money is. And part of the reason we don't know how old money is because we have yet to discover a civilization old enough that didn't have money. So we know it's as old as civilization. And one thing that surprises people is that money is older than writing. And the way we know this is because when we look at archaeological discoveries of writing, we find hieroglyphics and we find cuneiform and we look at all of these ancient forms of writing. Guess what they're writing about? Money. They're writing ledgers. All of the ancient writing we find, the first ones are writing on ledgers. They are writing about money because money is older than writing. Is money older than the wheel? I don't know, but we do know that wheels were used as money. So they might be as old as wheels. Perhaps the first wheel was sold for money or was used as a form of money itself. Archaeological sites going back into the Stone Age show us the presence of money in the form of shells and feathers and beads used by Stone Age people. In fact, we can teach primates how to use money. If you have an adult studies where they teach monkeys, chimpanzees, how to use money. They teach them a specific type of stone to be exchanged for bananas. And then they try to see what the monkeys will do with this new information. And they very quickly invent armed robbery. Because they figure out that if you take the other money and take monkey and take stones, you can exchange it for bananas. Surprisingly, the second thing they invent is prostitution. They figure out that sexual favor can be exchanged for stones, which can be used for bananas. I'll tell you about the nature of money. I think the important insight into the nature of money is that money is a form of communication. At its very basic level, money isn't value. Money represents an abstraction of value, it's a way of communicating value. It's a language. Therefore, money is as a language because the ability to communicate value is a language. And money, in many ways, has these characteristics that are linguistic construct. So it's a form of communication. We use money to communicate value to each other, to express to each other how much we value a product, a service, a gesture. We use it as a basis of social interaction because by communicating value to each other, we create social bonds. So money is also a very important social construct. So this is ancient technology. And yet, ironically, it's one of the technologies that is least studied from a historical and technology perspective. We look at Bitcoin today, and it represents an invention, a new form of doing money. And think about for a moment how often the technology of money has been transformed by invention. How many different forms of money we have. At a very basic level, a way to communicate value is to exchange things that is of equal value. Here's a note. I will take 12 bananas for my note. That's not really money because it's a barter transaction, but it's the first form of communication about value. And then we start seeing abstract forms of money. So that's the first major technological evolution, is to start exchanging something that you can't eat. A feather, a bead, a string with knots on it, a colorful something that can be used for aesthetic purposes, and then money takes this abstract form. That's the first major transformational technology moment for money, when money stopped being about the tangible consumption of intrinsic value, but became something that refers to value as an abstraction. Very quickly, one of the most popular forms of these abstractions was use precious metals to express value. Precious metals combine some of the most important characteristics of money being hard to find, scarce, easily transported, more, for example, than a giant rock or a whole barrel of feathers or other forms of money. Easy to divide. You can cut a gold coin into pieces and subdivide pieces. And universally valued for aesthetic purposes. That's a major second transformation in technology. And it took thousands of years, hundreds of thousands of years, before we saw the introduction of precious metals, which is the beginning of the American civilizations in the fertile present area in the Middle East. We start seeing precious metals, not only as the Egyptians, as well as the Greeks developed these precious metals. Two major technological revolutions. And then nothing for a few thousand years. And then someone came up with this brilliant idea, which was, well, if I deposit my gold with someone trustworthy, then they give me a piece of paper that says that I have my gold in this trustworthy vault, and I could then really start trading the paper so that the gold is easier to carry. As long as I still trust that my money is in the vault, then I've got a new form of money. And with every technological evolution in money, there comes skepticism. And I think this is the moment of the greatest amount of skepticism in human civilization. For a lot of people, this new invention of money as paper is somewhat controversial. You think people are freaking out about Bitcoin? Imagine how much they freaked out when you told them that now instead of trading in gold, they could trade in pieces of paper. For a lot of people, this was unthinkable. I mean, after all, clearly this thing does not have any value. It took about 400 years for paper as money to become accepted broadly. And trust me, it was a big aberration. Then about 60 years ago, you saw a new form of money in the form of plastic cards. In fact, the first cards were paper again. And then in the United States, Iris Club was the first to create a credit card, which was full of traveler's check. And then people took that and they said, this is money. Why don't you give me some of the good old paper money? I know. And that was another big transformation in money. And that got Bitcoin. And Bitcoin is, in my mind, a pretty radical transformation. It's as radical as the change from precious metals to paper money. Perhaps even more radical. So what is Bitcoin? This fundamental issue in describing Bitcoin is that if you use references to our existing experience, that experience is based on thousands of years of understanding what money is in a very physical form, and now we're trying to explain a form of money that is completely abstract. But it's a token that represents acceptance of a network-centric form of money, but it doesn't even begin to describe what this thing is. And so one of the fundamental misunderstandings that I get when I try to describe Bitcoin is that people think it's simply a payment system. That Bitcoin is simply a form of digitization of money. It's like, it's digital money, great. Well, that's kind of pointless because we already have digital money. All of you use digital money every day long before Bitcoin came along. You have bank accounts, those bank accounts have digital ledgers. You use those bank accounts to send payments electronically, that's digital money. Bitcoin isn't just digital money. Bitcoin is a fundamental transformation of the technology of money, and it's difficult to grasp because it's so different from everything before. So I'll take a different stab at it. I want to talk about network architecture for a second. Because Bitcoin is not happening in a vacuum. It's happening at a moment in history where we are seeing a transformation of many fundamental social institutions. And that transformation is the great network-centric era. For centuries, social institutions were organized around hierarchical organizations, institutions, democracy, banking, education. All of our social interactions were organized around the two transparency of these hierarchies, bureaucracies of people. And something happened with the invention of the internet. We started seeing more and more of these social institutions changing from systems of closed, non-transparent, unaccountable, hierarchical, complex with their own tools into platforms. We start seeing the introduction of systems that have interfaces, APIs that we can access, where information can flow in and out of the organization. And so we go from institutions to platforms. And then we start seeing an even more important transformation when we go from platforms to protocols. And the interesting thing about the change between platform and protocol is when you have a protocol, there is no central field. TCP/IP doesn't work in reference to a service provider. TCP/IP works without context everywhere in the world. You don't have to sign up for an account to use TCP/IP. You just have to use the language. And once you go from a platform to a language, it opens up all these possibilities. Bitcoin is the first network-centric, protocol-based form of money. And what that means is that it exists without reference to an institutional platform context. I'll get back to that in a second. This is a really important point. So we say that Bitcoin is peer-to-peer money. What does that mean, peer-to-peer money? It refers to an architecture. Architecture used in terms of computer science or networking or distributed systems to describe the relationship between participants in a system. The architecture of Bitcoin is peer-to-peer because every participant in the network speaks the Bitcoin protocol on an equal level. There are no special Bitcoin nodes. All nodes are the same. Peer-to-peer means that when you do a transaction, every peer treats it the same. It has no context inside the peer's system other than that it gets from the network. An interesting issue with distributed systems is this issue of context and state, right? If you log on to Facebook and you have an account with Facebook, you're not using a protocol. All of the state is controlled by Facebook. You have a login session and all the data is held by them. We call that architecture client-server. And Bitcoin is different because it's peer-to-peer. It's like email or TCP/IP. So one of the interesting things that happens with money is that we are reluctant to discuss money. In fact, it is shocking that in almost all countries, money is not part of the education system. 5-year-olds have great questions about money, and most parents find it almost impossible to answer these questions. What is money? Money? How does money work? Why do we not have more of it? Why can't everyone have more of it? And you don't say, Susie, go back to your room and study inflation like a good girl, and don't come back until you understand the answer to that question. We don't discuss money. It's interesting that when you use technology as a foundation of every aspect of social interaction almost, and yet it is a completely taboo subject. We all pretend we don't particularly care about money, at least not intrinsically. We have higher goals and aspirations. We use it in everyday experience, and we don't really talk about it. It's a dirty topic. I think the architecture has something to do with it. You see, before Bitcoin, the previous iteration of money, the fourth great iteration of money, when money started being issued in exchange for precious metals stored in a vault, what that represented is a form of debt. And that's a really important concept to understand in the course of our discussion. How many of you have money in a bank? None of you have money in a bank. Do you store physical money in a safe deposit box? Maybe you could say you have money in the bank. Well, a few people say that. The rest of you have loaned your money into a bank. And for the privilege of loaning your money to the bank, you will be paid the amazing interest sum of 0.00001% per year. And your bank will take that money, turn around, and loan it to the people standing next to you for 24.99% APR. This is a client-server relationship because that money only exists as a form of debt in a ledger that you do not control, a ledger that is stored by a server, and you are simply a client. In fact, you have no control over that at all. You don't even have basic interfaces to that money unless that interface is mediated by the server. That's what client-server architecture does. We have another term in the distributed system that describes a particular form of client-server architecture where the secondary party only has a copy, a weak copy that isn't really meaningful. We call that the master-slave architecture. And if you think of the previous iteration of money as a master-slave architecture, you have to ask an uncomfortable question. Who is the slave? Because in a system of debt, one of the two parties is always the slave. You are the client. You are not the server. And the server doesn't really serve you. They serve themselves because they are invested. And that is the architecture of money we live in. That is the architecture of money used by civilization. An architecture of money where you have no control. An architecture of money where every interaction is mediated by a third party. A third party has absolute control over that money. And today, if you go to the ATM machine and you put it to your card, the bank may decide.
Hey, Kenny, welcome. I'm gonna pause this real quick. This is my first time doing a YouTube live, and I am reading through this book about Web3 and Bitcoin and stuff like that. And the book has some videos. But your question is how to do YT live, YouTube live, teach me. This program I'm using right now, is it's called StreamYard. And I'm currently trialing it. It's a paid service, but I'm trialing it. And it's really cool because you can do these kinds of banners. Hi, handsome. and then, so I can highlight the comments, I can put banners. And I can also connect this to like Facebook or YouTube or all these different places. So yeah, this is the kernel.community. So you can say kernel.community. If you go to that website, it'll yeah, StreamYard can do it. So yeah, kernel.community is the thing. So that's kind of what I'm reading right now. But yeah, just currently watching this. Not sure if I can share the video from this page, but yeah, just currently watching this.
Venezuela, Argentina, Bolivia, Brazil, and a list of hundreds of countries over the last several decades, even centuries have discovered only you go to the bank, and the bank does not want to give you the money.
Good to see you, Ken.
That's the essence of the master slave.
Hope I get to meet you someday. Yeah. So I'm watching it on 2x speed because it's a long video, but I'm going to see if I can have some subtitles here, auto-generated. Make sure it's good quality. So just to catch you up, I'm halfway through, but this guy, Andreas Antonopoulos, he's like a really famous person in the Bitcoin space. He's done a lot of talks and education around Bitcoin. I think he wrote the Bitcoin book in O'Reilly. And this is kind of just talking about the overall history of what is money and why is it meaningful. And one of the things that he talks about is money is as old as civilization itself. And money is a form of communication. It's an abstraction of value and it's a way of communicating value. So that's kind of where we're at. I'll play it and then, yeah, let me know if you have questions.
Absolute ownership. We have an expression in the United States, which is possession is 9/10 of the law. You heard that expression? In Bitcoin, possession is 10/10 of the law. If you control the Bitcoin keys, it's your Bitcoin. If you don't control the Bitcoin keys, it's not your Bitcoin. You are back to a master-slave relationship with the bank. Bitcoin represents a fundamental transformation of money, an invention that changes the oldest technology we have in civilization, that changes it radically and disruptively by changing the fundamental architecture into one where every participant is equal.
Awesome.
Where transaction has no state or context other than obeying the consensus rules of the network that no one controls. Where your money is yours, and you control it absolutely through the application of digital signatures, and no one can censor it, no one can seize it, no one can freeze it, no one can tell you what to do or what not to do with your money. It is a system of money that is simultaneously absolutely transnational and borderless. And we've never had a system of money like that. It is a system of money that transmits at the speed of light, that anyone in the world can participate with a device as simple as a text messaging phone. And this represents a technological innovation that is terrifying to a lot of people because it is such a fundamental transformation of money. And what they will tell you is that they're worried. They're very worried. They're worried that criminals will use Bitcoin. But the truth is But they're far more terrified than all of the rest of us will. Thank you.
Oh, okay, that was the whole time. Is there more here?
You want to? No, I'm not going to throw it. Better put it.
Oh, it's Q&A after this. Okay, got it.
First of all, thank you. A question, you were talking about scarcity and also about, what's called the intrinsic value.
Yes.
If you look at the definition of sound money according to Aristotle, he said that, well, he described gold basically as you just did, and he said that the intrinsic value of gold is scarcity. Do you believe that the same thing goes for Bitcoin?
So as a Greek, I think I can say the same thing. Aristotle said many smart things, and Aristotle also said many absolutely idiotic things, which in the context of the time were fine, but in retrospect, we know better and understand more about the world around us. Scarcity isn't intrinsic value. Scarcity is a completely different attribute of money. And in fact, intrinsic value is a very slippery concept. We haven't had money with intrinsic value since our money was bananas, because you could eat them. And in fact, unless you have scarcity, even the things that you might assume have intrinsic value do not have intrinsic value. The most important aspects of life, like water, have intrinsic value only when they are scarce. So scarcity affects intrinsic value, but is not intrinsic value. In this country, as also in my country, we use fresh water to flush our toilets. And that shows you exactly how much value fresh water has intrinsically here because of the lack of scarcity. I know that the Netherlands has a much bigger problem with keeping the water out than having enough. But there are plenty of places where that's not the case. Intrinsic value is not really a property of currency or money. In fact, currency that has intrinsic value is not very good currency, because then you might eat it instead. And it creates a market distortion, because if you can eat your currency, at some point if the value of currency goes low enough, everybody starts eating it instead of using it. Although you can assign an intrinsic value to money. My favorite example was a farmer in Zimbabwe who was asked by the BBC when they were carrying a wheelbarrow full of $100 trillion Zimbabwe notes stacked up, and they asked him, can't you use it as fuel? And they said, no, not really, because goat shit burns better. And that was the moment that the currency's intrinsic value had degraded to the point that it was below par with goat shit. Now, I have news for you. There are at least 50 currencies in the world today that have an intrinsic value less than goat shit. And that is the world in which we're introducing Bitcoin. A more interesting concept, I think, one that we should explore more, is intrinsic utility. Something that is useful as a currency. And I think that Bitcoin represents a moment of immense intrinsic utility. It is useful. It is software money. Money is a content type. Money as a service. Programmable money that can be programmed to do amazing things. And that provides intrinsic utility. Utility that makes it much more than just money for the internet, but instead turns it into the internet of money. So intrinsic utility, I think, is a more useful concept.
Hi guys. I want to ask you a question. Yes, hello. Hey, that's my voice. That's what people do. It's like the again. Okay, so the banks are now getting into blockchain and non-bank trading consortium, apparently, so like competing with blockchain, et cetera. So, just what are your thoughts on this? Is it competition? Where's it going? Your thoughts on that?
How many of you here are familiar with the concept of an intranet, or have an intranet at work? So an intranet is the internal company network where all of the information that is out of date about the company is posted, and where you can't use most of the interesting applications on the internet, but they force you to use it anyway. So the problem with the internet is that eventually you want to make it more useful, and then you try to find a way to connect it to the rest of the internet around, and to do that you use an intranet. And I think what we're going to discover is that this approach you're trying to take, let's see, well, we told the world we wanted to disrupt our business. In fact, we said we wanted to disrupt our business from the inside out, because that sounds good on a marketing brochure. And then we discovered Bitcoin, but that's too disruptive, too revolutionary. We want something more corporate, like the word revolutionize, which means the exact opposite of revolutionary. It means to start something of anything that is disruptive, turn it into a safe, mild, bland alternative that kind of fits the marketing brochure, and then try to pretend that is revolutionary. It's like the difference between Che Guevara and a Che Guevara t-shirt being worn by a hipster in Brooklyn. So what do? They look at Bitcoin and they say, let's see, it's an open, decentralized, borderless, transparent, and peer-to-peer currency. Fantastic. Could we have that without the open, borderless, decentralized, peer-to-peer, and transparent, and instead add a nice dose of heavy control and turn it into a client-server model? Oh, sorry, I meant a master-slave model. Blockchains are going to decrease the cost of operating clearinghouses within the world stock exchanges and banking systems. They will replace single point of failure clearinghouses and payment networks like SWIFT and DTCC and all the other stock market backends in the world, and they're going to reduce the cost of investment banking.
So I'm just going to pause this real quick. I'm going to check when exactly this talk was done, because I think it was way long ago. Yeah, 2015. So Bitcoin was invented 2011. This is 4 years in, and he's been talking about this for a while. I can't believe this only has 30,000 views. Let's subscribe to this guy. But yeah, anyways, continue.
It is a minor and boring application, but I can see why it's better than what they have today. To me, the equivalent is really simple. When the internet came out, what did the world's phone companies do? They designed color fax machines. Take the fax machine, add color. Look, it's just like the internet. All right, next question.
Hi, Andreas, thank you very much for that talk. What in your opinion are the biggest threats or problems at the moment in the Bitcoin ecosystem?
The biggest threats or problems, there are many threats. I think Bitcoin is very much experimental technology. It's an instance. I think it's important to separate the design pattern from the particular implementation we're running right now. I can give you a prediction over the next 50 years. The design pattern of open decentralized digital currencies based on blockchain technology will completely transform the world. Whether it will use the exact same technology we use in Bitcoin today, whether Bitcoin will continue to evolve as it has for the last 6 years very rapidly, and be able to address all of the difficulties, get better user interface design, better security, scale to much higher levels, and all of those things, I don't know. I think most likely whatever we end up with will still be called Bitcoin, even though it may bear very little resemblance in its underlying engineering to what we have today. But it will still be an open, decentralized, peer-to-peer platform for money. Not because that's an efficient way of doing money, it's because it's a free way of doing money. And sometimes efficiency is something you sacrifice for freedom. Bitcoin is not efficient. If you want efficient, you use a system where one person is in control, and that is very, very efficient. Democracy isn't very efficient either, but it sure is how everybody else runs it. All right, let's take maybe 1 or 2 more questions.
Okay. Talking about coding in private, I think that's it is considered as not.
Yeah, let me post. So this is Andreas Antonopoulos, and then Kernel is, where did it go? Where did my screen go? The other one is Kernel.community. And yeah, I'll share it here. Andreas Antonopoulos. Kernel.community. All right, where did my screen go? Come on. There we go. Yeah, and so this is the Kernel.community website. Oops. I'll share the direct link here. There we go. So if you go to that link, then that'll take you to this page I'm looking at right now, and it has the video with Andreas, and it also has all these explanations. Cool. Yeah, so there's like maybe 10 minutes left in the video. Are you interested in watching the rest of this, or do you want to watch me go through the rest of this book out of curiosity? Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. Glad to help people learn. I'm learning myself too, so I figured I could just share my learnings, you know? Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm just gonna finish this video and then I'm gonna go through the rest of this. So just to show you what's going on here, I had applied, basically, this is a program where a bunch of people come together. They have 250 people per cohort, just like how with NAS Academy, we have 70 people in this Creator Master course. Kernel is the same way. It's like a fellowship. You have 250 people and it runs for 8 weeks. And they've already had 3 cohorts and I applied for the 4th cohort. So after I applied, I got this response that said, hey, welcome. I got the interview. It's going to be happening, I think, next week for me. And so that's how I found out about this book. They said, hey, we're going to be having this interview, but it's a special style, Junto style, which is where everybody who's going to interview, pre-reads some of the information from this book, and then we all discuss together. So that's why I found out about this book. And then I'm currently reading through some of the introduction, but the actual piece that we will be discussing is module 2. So asking better questions and money and speech and recollecting our origins and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm currently going through the introduction. So I'm going to finish this video real quick.
Do you see the Bitcoin as a public good, as a private good, as a public good, or a new term? And how can we use it for public goals?
Well, I think that's a really good question. I think the blockchain is a public good. It is a societal construct that is not controlled by one individual. It's ruled entirely by a set of common principles and laws called the consensus mechanism. And the rules of consensus define what happens on the blockchain. Interestingly enough, I think the blockchain will create a completely new form of common good that we've never seen before. If you take the idea that Bitcoin or something like blockchain will continue to exist, we arrive at a place where, for the first time in history, we have a shared historical record that does not decay in time and cannot be changed. Immutable history forever. We have an expression which is, put it in stone. You heard that expression? It's an expression we use to describe the most immutable form of recording we can imagine, which is to carve something in stone. 20 years from now, we will say, oh, it's as good as done. It's like I put it on the blockchain. Because we will have a much better form of an immutable history. So that becomes a public good, and it becomes a public good that has a scale in time that we've never seen in civilization. And if you think of what happened to the Bitcoin last 10 years.
Yeah, so this idea is so great because Meta Koban actually talks about this with NFTs too, where he says like blockchain allows us to have this immutable history. That's the best way to have immutable history ever since caveman times with like writing it in stone. And with Meta Koban, the way he talks about this is like NFTs is the first time that we have this ability to use blockchain to capture these moments in time, these stories. So it's kind of cool to see how all of this space is evolving.
That's astonishing. What if it lasts 100 years? What if it lasts 1,000 years? What happens if 2,000 years from now you can go back and do blockchain archaeology and study the transactions between Satoshi Nakamoto and Al Finney, or study the 2020 presidential campaign based on blockchain transactions? This is a very important historical artifact that we're now creating as a civilization. So yes, it is public good.
You talked about the properties of good money, and in the light of the news I saw tomorrow about the BitPay level state transaction, I would ask you if you have worries about the fungibility of Bitcoin in nature.
Yes, I think fungibility is one of the things that Bitcoin can definitely improve, and I think over time we're going to see some improvements to that. But there's already quite a few proposals on different ways to increase fungibility and anonymity. If we want to preserve this blockchain technology as a good idea.
Okay, cool. This stuff is too technical. I don't think it's too important for me right now. I just need to read through the rest of the book, so I'm gonna stop there. Cool. So we've watched the video now on money and how that fits into communication. So then the question is, how does this fit into Kernel? So Kernel is the program, the fellowship. Well, this talk provides a historical context for money and outlines why Bitcoin is important within that context. It has been chosen for Kernel in particular because it speaks to money and speech, value in the broadest and most historical sense, and meaning. It's not about money for the internet, it's about the internet of money. Cool, cool, cool. Okay. Briefs present the most relevant quotes from the linked resource with small pieces of added commentary where appropriate. Okay, so they're just explaining that in these modules, they'll have these briefs. Okay, if you think of money as technology, how old is this technology? Some people say 400, some people say 1,000 years old. In fact, we don't know how old is money. We have yet to discover a civilization that didn't have money. So we know it's at least as old as civilization. Yeah. Cool, cool, cool. All right, this was all stuff they talked about in the video, so we kind of already went through it. Money is a language. I really like this, so I'm gonna keep this in my notes here. I've already said it here. Money is a form of communication, but I'm just going to copy that. Money is a language. All right, cool. Which technology is older, writing or money? We don't know. So we think they're about the same. I mean, yeah, okay, money, because we've always had writing about money. So fair enough. I'm going to click remember on that. Cool. Once we add the ability to program this medium using Turing complete script, which is Bitcoin or Ethereum specifically, we may need to begin thinking of all this not in terms of a new language, but as a development of the order of language itself. Okay, cool. So it's like even bigger than language. Money is an important social tool. Yep, agree. Okay, for the skeptics. Yeah, this is also quotes from the video. So this was pretty funny. With every technological revolution in money, there comes skepticism. And this is the moment of greatest skepticism in our history. The move to paper, and he's referring to paper money here. The move to paper was highly controversial. It took about 400 years for paper as money to become broadly accepted. And then 60 years ago, we saw a new form of money in the form of plastic cards, credit cards. In fact, the first cards were paper, but then Diners Club in the US created the first recognizable credit card, which is originally a form of traveler's check. Now we have Bitcoin, which represents a new form of doing money and is as radical as the change from precious metals to paper, perhaps even more so. This is because our history as a species has to do with tangible expressions of wealth, and now we're dealing with a network-centric form of money, which is totally abstract. So yeah, powerful stuff, powerful stuff. Open protocols and a network of value. Bitcoin is a fundamental transformation in the technology of money. You don't have to sign up for an account, you just have to use the language. I'm gonna copy that too. You don't have to sign up for an account. You just have to use the language. So I'm gonna copy that and paste that over here. Great. Okay, once you've understood that money is a language used since time immemorial that can communicate value, you've got the whole thing. What matters now is the precedence we set as the first users of the new protocols. Bitcoin transforms the technology of money into a network-centric protocol. As such, it is not a new kind of language, but a development of the order of language. Okay, cool. All right, master-slave versus peer-to-peer. So with master-slave, the idea is like a bank, for example, owns your money. You are the slave and you're at the mercy of the bank. But with peer-to-peer, everybody is kind of equal and democratic, and it's not as efficient, but it's, you know, a lot more free, which is pretty important. Bitcoin represents a shift from master-slave architecture for money to what? Peer-to-peer. Cool. All right, later in the Q&A session, Andreas makes the point, Bitcoin is a choice, it's opt-in. So the internet of money is not a given, it's what we're building now. It is our responsibility to make it transparent and eminently usable while keeping it peer-to-peer, borderless, open, and fair. Right, that makes sense, we're building it together. Interestingly enough, I think the blockchain will create a completely new kind of common good that we've never seen before. And this is that last chunk that we were talking about, the historical record. This immutable history will itself become a common good with scale in time that we've never had before in any civilization. Cool, let's keep that in there. All right, awesome. Let's go to the next unit. We're almost done with the introduction. I'm so excited to actually get to module 2. Okay, the art of conversation. Let's watch this video. And before I watch it, I'm just gonna see how this fits into the kernel. So there are many important takeaways here for the conversations we'll be having in kernel and beyond. The quality of listening determines the quality of speaking. When people are listening, I'm compelled to speak more truth. We should aspire. I feel that way right now. Ken is watching this and now I have energy. Earlier, I was falling asleep. I finished my boba and I was falling asleep. But now that Ken's here, I wanna speak truth. You're too nice. You're too nice, Ken. When I grow up, I want to be just like you, actually. You have a nice family. I've been seeing your stories on Instagram. But cool. Number 3, we should aspire to positive sum horizontal conversations. Oh, wait. I want to show you something, actually. This is really cool. Oh, that's not what I wanted to show you. It's in my notes. It's the truth game. The game of trust. Game of trust. I don't have the URL, but here we go. I'm going to share this. This is super fun. You can explore this link at some time, but it's really interactive. And this is such a great way to teach people about game theory and why we should work together, basically. Why should we work together? And I won't go through it all because I kind of already did it earlier, but I'm going to turn off the music here. It's really cool. There's like the story about World War I and how even during peacetime, friends can become enemies, but even during wartime, enemies can become friends. And then you play the game and it has this nice little, characters, and you can choose to cheat or you can choose to cooperate, and it shows you all of the outcomes. So for example, if I choose to cooperate and then they cheat, then I lose points and they gain points. And we're playing this game right now where I want to maximize the points I get. So if the other player cooperates and puts in a coin, what should I do? I think I should cheat if I want to win. And they say, wow, that's mean, but it's also the correct answer. Because if you both cooperate, you both give up a coin to gain 3. But if you cheat and they cooperate, you gain 3 coins at their cost of 1. So there's this whole game here. You can kind of read through it, but this is super fun. And it has a really beautiful story to it. Cool, so back here. Number 3, we should aspire to positive sum horizontal conversations. And he talks about this at minute 9, I guess. Cool. And what are horizontal conversations? They are interactive dialogue among peers. Participants share trust living within the same context. Conversations continue and can be picked up tomorrow or next week or sometime later. Much more meaning is shared. I have a lot of respect for people who think as they speak and who pause to think and to attach the meaning that matters. Yep, this makes a lot of sense. And so I guess they're trying to distinguish between these 2 ideas here. There's horizontal conversations and then there's vertical conversations right here, where vertical conversations are a competition. It's kind of like, I guess it feels like politicians who are trying to say like, my thing matters more, listen to me, listen to me. But with horizontal conversations, it kind of feels more like a classroom and it feels more like a team, and everybody trusts each other and is sharing and is working together. So I think that's what they're trying to get at here. So number 5, asking better questions by listening more deeply. And number 6, what kinds of speech really carry value? Cool. I'm just gonna watch this. I'm gonna put this on 2 times speed too.
I get asked questions about this or that. There are no short answers. I can give you a quick, cute conceptual answer about something. And if you want to talk about fire, then we must talk. If you want to know about fire, there's lots to know. If you want to know about water, there is so much to know. So there are no short answers, and we can, we live in a world where it's become so fanciful to just drop these cute, wow, one-liners at each other and think that we know things. And ask questions and not really want to answer, not really want to know, just want a quick fix, conceptual solution to a curiosity that doesn't really matter anyway because it's a passing fancy. We don't live in a world where we have conversations about things that really matter anymore. Endless explorations of the truth of things outside of ourselves. So no, there are no short answers. Not if you really want to know.
What terrible things we do in the name of greed and power. What is it that will bring us to choose our way and our wisdom? How much more darkness before we see the light of life? And these children are the first people. What do they hold and trust for? One by one we sever the last threads of hope and memory. Soon there will be nothing left.
I seem to keep discovering more about Paul. He's a very complex person. The more I chat to him and the more I interact with him, the more or less really I understand about the man. So I knew that after some brief talking that he was involved with the Bushmen over a period of time, and that he had spent some time with him in the bush. And then there's his own retreat, locally where he goes.
He's very, very deeply rooted in the spirituality that he encountered with the Bushmen, his time with the Bushmen, and it's become part of his paradigm. And that's to be respected. Okay? There are very few people on this planet that have that depth of spirituality.
He's just a typical filmmaker. His hair is long, not very kept, he's got a beard, he drives this really old car, you know, and he's contained with himself. I mean, I think he looks like he spends a lot of time by himself, but I think he's thinking or he's operating on other places.
Okay, so Paul Bushman. Oh no, they're talking about Bushman, but it's Paul Myberg. I need to know who this is because I don't know why I should be watching this. Myberg. Paul Myberg. Oh, the actor. He's an actor and a documentary filmmaker. Has had a lifelong commitment to Africa that transcends the boundaries of politics and ideology. Okay, that's pretty cool. I am interested in this video, but I don't think I'm gonna watch the whole thing. It's like 24 minutes. I'm just gonna skim through the brief here. So we live in a world where it's become the fashion to just drop these cute one-liners at each other and then think that we know things. This is super true because I am on Twitter all day and that is literally the definition of Twitter. So that's pretty funny. But yeah, very true. What is the truth outside yourself? How could you build open tools that encourage people to explore such ideas and connect in truly meaningful ways? We have 1,000 alternatives for every fundamental, and we spend much of our lives preoccupied with those alternatives. Our lives therefore tend to be far more incidentally bound rather than fundamentally related. In this, we express our separation from the natural world, from the fundamentals, from the cosmos. Oh man, that is a wordy way to express this idea, but I think what I'm, let me read the kernel description here. We all find ourselves caught up in seemingly insignificant tasks, which consistently get in the way of that really profound thing you've been meaning to learn or do. Why is this, and how can we move more of our daily existence into that which is not bound and imprisoned in trivialities, but rather fundamentally related to everything around us? Isn't that what a web does? Yeah, okay. I read this book before, and this is the idea that, oh, you're gonna do this kind of sharing often and share with us so it can follow. Luckily, I put up a notification, else I'm missing this. Yeah, this is my first one, so I didn't want to publicize it too much because I was just trying to figure out the software and everything. But yeah, I can set up like a regular one where every week it's at the same time, and that way I'm sharing what I'm learning. So yeah, great idea. Thank you so much for the support. But yeah, this idea I think is really, really crucial. And it's actually one of the reasons why I decided to kind of take a break from my job at a big tech company working as a software engineer and just go out on my own and become a creator. Because for me, one of these things that are fundamentally important to me is for me to develop my ability to be vulnerable in the world, share my learnings, and tell stories and help people. And I think while I'm coding, sitting in front of a desk and going on a computer and coding all day, it's very powerful and it does help a lot of people. but not in the way that I want to explore at least once before I die. So that's my fundamentals. Okay, cool. Let's question, what kinds of conversation do we build together in Kernel? We build horizontal conversations, not vertical. Nice, I got that one. Cool, cool, cool. I missed true voice. What is true voice? Have you ever heard of it? True voice is when people listen. There are pauses between speaking, which are filled with thinking and with understanding. Yeah. How comfortable are you with silence? Is this actually not the measure of companionship? How comfortable those silences are? Totally. I mean, one of my favorite things to do with me and my girlfriend now, Catherine, we've been together for 5 or 6 years, not 5 or 6 years, almost 6 years, is actually to go on long drives. And that's one of my favorite things because we have these moments of shared silence and understanding, and we're just driving down the road and you can see the trees passing by and we're listening to a podcast or a song, and it's comfortable silence, and we can think about each other. We can be in the present. And every now and then we'll like shake each other and be like, hey, I just thought of an idea to a certain thing, let's talk about it. And I do feel that when I meet someone new, I give myself a lot of pressure to get on their good side and, provide value to the conversation and all of this stuff. And that makes it so that there's not this kind of comfortable silence. So I actually really like this section, and I'm going to keep this because I want to think about this more and see how I can bring that into my life even more. So let's add this here. Kenny says, I love the way you do and share your thoughts. Love it. Me, your big fan, true voice. Thank you, Kenny. Thank you. You really are my true fan. What time is it for you there? Do you have a suggested time that you would like for me to do this normally? I would love to be able to do it when you have a chance to watch. Okay, cool. So I'll capture this. People listen to our positive speaking. Nice. Yeah, let me know in the comments. All right, I'm going to the next section here. How comfortable are you with silence? Yeah, okay. The thirst for truth. How can you cultivate the space within yourself required to listen well? What does it really mean to attach conscious meaning to the words you say or write? How is this amplified when those words are executable code? Damn, this is powerful because we're talking about all this like very human stuff, right? This is conversations, this is us listening to each other, studying from each other. And now they're tying it over here to what if we have this very powerful idea of community and listening to each other and being able to produce meaning? What if we can do that with code? And with code, that's when everything blows up exponentially. So I feel like, I'm getting like chills, thinking about this. That's where Bitcoin and Ethereum and all this stuff comes in. So yeah, and NFTs. I'm experiencing NFTs. So, all right, one's speaking must be shaped by the quality of the listener. So when you're listening to me, I am compelled to speak more sense. I am compelled to speak more truth. In a lot of modern conversations, no one is listening. So no one cares what they say. The quality of listening informs the quality of speaking. Yeah, that's very true. How can we build tools and digital spaces which encourage high quality listening rather than just meaningless self-promotion? You go beyond thirst and you understand there's no such thing as thirst. You either have water or you do not have water, and in between is nothing. Okay, that's kind of abstract. What is this even talking about? What are the fictional longings in your life? How could you get to the opposite and see how hollow fear and longing really are? This is getting really meta, really like abstract and spiritual, but I like it. It's something new. I feel like being in the crypto space, there's all this talk about money and ether and who's auctioning on an NFT and who's using which DeFi protocol. So I guess this is kind of like a refreshing break to kind of step back and be like, think about why are we doing this, So it's kind of cool. Cool. You're saying me and my wife together since 2003. Wow. You guys have been together for a long time. That's awesome. Congrats to you guys. My time is 8 a.m. now, but don't worry, do it at your comfort. We will follow you. Great. Okay, sounds good. I'll probably try different times. And then code. Yep. All right. Old gifts anew. Modern humanity does not learn by being gifted. Our path is different. We're constituted to ask questions. For us, knowing is something that is achieved through effort out of free will. The task of the modern human being is to clearly and definitively seek and find knowledge. Not cheap conceptual information, but the knowledge of things themselves. I mean, perceptual knowledge. Not quick ideas, but the actual knowledge of things. No free gifts, no quick fixes, hard yards. Every human soul taking every single step. This really resonates with me. Because I think one of the, again, I have to bring it back to my journey, right? Because I'm trying to relate to this. In my journey as a creator right now, I think it's really scary because I'm doing this full time and I'm really trying hard to figure out all these new tools and communities and put out content that's valuable to people. And in this mission, every little step that I take is so like meaningful to me that when I look back on the past week, all the raps that I've created, all of the conversations I've had with people, everything matters a lot to me. And it's not cheap conceptual information. It's the knowledge of the things themselves, because I'm thinking so deeply about it and I'm trying to make this my new lifeblood. And I feel like before, when I work a 9-to-5 job, a lot of it is meaningful, but also a lot of it is just kind of, I'm just doing it for the paycheck. So I think, we all have different stories, but for me, this is my way of taking this break and saying like, okay, I want to find out what's meaningful to me and how do I remember those things very seriously. Can you think back to moments in your life when you just knew something? What was the quality and texture of that knowing? I like the way they put that. How can we cultivate more of that in our lives, and how can we build products which help every human soul take a single step closer to their own truths? Cool. What is required to co-create horizontal conversations? I'm gonna cheat. I don't remember. Close bonds? Clear listening. Oh, duh. I've been doing all this talking. This lesson didn't sink in, but yeah, it's kind of hard to practice horizontal conversations in a live stream where I'm the only one talking, but clear listening is what it is. I'm gonna say don't remember. Yeah, Kenny resonates with it too. Me too. Nice. Cool. Over here, next section, more and more I see the value of human conversation, the value of what arises between us when we speak in truth with what we have and what we seek, all of us. When I see this human conversation that must arise again, there is something more than is asked here, which is that human beings begin to converse for ourselves and with ourselves so that we can, and once again, find what was old community in future form. And that will only grow out of a conversation about that which we know and that which we wish to know. I like how simply this last sentence is put. The community that really matters, that you want to be a part of, that I want to be a part of, can only grow out of a conversation about that which we know and that which we wish to know. It really touches upon the idea of honesty, I think. And it's like when you're truly honest to yourself about what do you really know, and not what you're pretending to know, not what you're marketing, going out there and selling like promotional material. Sometimes that's necessary for like business and you got to do what you got to do. But I think what they're talking about here is when you find that true community, and this is something I think about a lot. How do we build community? Because I think that's a really powerful skill. When you want to build a true community, you have to talk about what you know and you have to ask about what you want to know. It's such a simple idea, but I just love the words for it. So I'm going to copy this too. You're saying you are supposed to talk. Our role is listening and watching you. Yeah, I agree. It's just funny because I'm reading about horizontal conversations and you can't really have that in live chats. But I'm gonna keep this one. Find what was old community in future form. People having horizontal conversations and being honest about what they know and what they want to know. I like this. Together with you now, I feel like I had grown up. That's awesome. I'm glad I can provide at least one person value on this. So you're making me very happy. I'm grateful. All right, David Baum was one of the most significant theoretical physicists. He was also a friend of Jiddu Krishnamurti. And he said, with this common coherent consciousness, we have a new kind of intelligence capable of thinking together. We have to begin with people who are open enough to start the dialogue. Definitely. Oh, participate. Let's see what this is about. Bone dialogue. There's a definite here. There's some quotes. What is this? This is just... Oh, okay. I thought there was like a chat room or something that would pop up, but I can look at that later. The last section of the first module, the 0th module, introduction. So through this last about with what you do. I like that. Good tone to end the introduction on. Okay, let's click on the read it button. Why does this kernel? Brain Pickings article, which summarizes a letter sent by Vincent Van Gogh to his brother, 9, has been selected to help you deepen your own approach to asking better questions, thinking deeply about your intention, and how you define both value and trust. And finally, think about what you personally are doing here. What's your question? Ooh, that hits. What is your question? Think about that. It's not easy to build real community. I build and manage, but it's challenging. You gotta people. That's bro. Learn what you interpret it in your own way with new input. Not sure I am lagging. Software. I think the software takes a while between YouTube and I'll show you what it looks like. This is what StreamYard looks like. Now to see the things here. Yeah. How Vincent Van Gogh found his purpose. Heartfelt letters to his brother and how relationships refine us. Honestly, okay, before I even dig into this title already resonates because it's about relationships. And I think that's something that's huge in the creator space. I feel like me, you, Kenny, other people who are in this space trying to make videos and help people directly. It resonates with all of us, not just the creators, but like all human beings. And there's something they said earlier in one of the previous articles, the previous lessons. They said that, we have all these tools that are allowing people to be more and more connected more and more of the time, but people actually have fewer and fewer friends now than they did before. And that's something that I think is my question constantly is in this world of just abundant options, there's so many people you can make friends with. There's so many people you can date. There's so many different creators you can watch. How do you choose to just watch one of them or date one of them or be a friend with one of them? And so that's why this question of how relationships refine us. And I'm curious how Van Gogh is going to talk about it. So let's look at this. Long before Vincent Van Gogh became a creative legend and attained such mastery of art that he explained nature better than science, he confronted the same existential challenge that many people and aspiring artists face as they set out to find their purpose and do what they love. Something that often requires the discomforting, I think that's a typo, discomforting uncertainty of deviating from the beaten path. Oh, I didn't know this. When Van Gogh was 26, he had dropped out of high school and was given a 6-month appointment as a preacher in a small village. A job that consisted of giving Bible readings, teaching school children, and caring for the sick and poor. He devoted himself wholeheartedly to the task and in solidarity with the poor, gave away all his possessions to live in a tiny hut where he slept on the ground. Okay, cool. So this is his background. He had a very, he was a starving artist type, but very helpful to society. Okay. On August 14th, 1879, he wrote an exquisite letter to Theo, found in the newly released 800-page Trevor Trove. And he said, it's not necessary to accept the choices handed down to you by life as you know it. True. Good spirit. And then he says this, it's better that we feel something for each other rather than behave like corpses toward one another. The more so because as long as one has no real right to be called a corpse by being legally dead, it smacks of hypocrisy or at least childishness to pose as such. The hours we spent together in this way have at least assured us that we're both still in the land of living. When I saw you again and took a walk with you, I had the same feeling I used to have more than I do now, as though life were something good and precious that one should cherish. And I felt more cheerful and alive than I had been in a long time, because in spite of myself, life has gradually become or has seemed much less precious to me, much more unimportant and indifferent. And when one lives with others and is bound by a feeling of affection, one is aware that one has a reason for being, that one might not be entirely worthless and superfluous, but perhaps good for one thing or another, considering that we need one another and are making the same journey as traveling companions. Proper self-respect, however, is also very dependent on relations with others. Yeah, this is very true. Kenny says, yeah, I had no friends too from my earlier comments. But yeah, this is, I mean, even this week, just thinking about this, when one lives with others and is bound by a feeling of affection, one is aware that one has a reason for being, that one might not be entirely worthless and superfluous, but perhaps good for one thing or another. I'm going to keep this quote because it's a constant reminder that one of the things that motivates me the most is to help people, you know, like I have all these questions and curiosities and desires. Like I want to go out and play games and I want to go explore Ethereum and I want to make money and I want to go on a nice vacation. But all of these things, the real meaning that comes from it is when I go do it with friends, when I go do it with people. I have a group chat where I talk about, let's try to use this new DeFi protocol and invest in the coin and see if it goes anywhere. But it's the conversation in that community that makes it meaningful. So yeah, I feel like I've been talking about this point for a while, but I like this quote and how Van Gogh summarizes it. So I'm gonna keep that one. Okay. I don't think I'm gonna read through the rest of this. It's pretty long. So let's see what Kernel talks about here. Improvement in my life. Should I not desire it or should I not be in need of improvement? I really want to improve, but it's precisely because I yearn for it that I'm afraid of remedies that are worse than the disease. How do we handle this tension between improving and being joyfully who we already are? Yeah, I think I've always been good at like exploring new things and putting myself out of my comfort zone. But I think the thing that I've always been bad at is committing and seeing something through to the end. And for example, this 100-day rap challenge, it's a really big challenge for me to, do every single day. Don't give up, do another rap. Because there's constantly doubt in my head. I'm thinking, man, today's rap, it just feels really lame, or it's too much work. I don't know if people like it. But I think that's something I really want to work on over and over again. It's just not just like putting myself out of my comfort zone, which I'm good at. I also want to commit and finish what I start. So that's my tension. Such idling is really a rather strange sort of idling. It's rather difficult for me to defend myself on this score, but I would be sorry if you couldn't eventually see this in a different light. Van Gogh presents tinkering as a better way of being in our own time, and it may not be about building more products for consumers, but rather using new trust spaces to commune in a different and digital sense. Let's see what this is. Oh, this was from earlier. Yeah, trust. Okay, cool. Yeah, I get it. Such a person doesn't always know himself what he could do, but he feels by instinct, I'm good for something. Even so, I feel I have a reason of being. I know that I could be quite a different man. For what then could I be of use? For what could I serve? There's something within me. So what is it? What is in your heart of hearts? You may wonder how relevant this question is, but we cannot build a better web if we do not first understand what it might mean to be better ourselves. This class is so, well, at least this introduction is so philosophical. And I think that's really interesting because I feel like this is their way of setting the culture of the community that they're building. And from what I'm seeing so far, I like it. I like it. So what's your ultimate goal? You'll say the goal will become clear, will take shape slowly and surely as the croquis becomes a sketch. What does this word mean? Oh, it just means sketch. Okay. Becomes a sketch, and the sketch a painting, as one works more seriously, as one digs deeper into the originally vague idea, the first fugitive passing thought. Do you trust the inner voice? I feel like I want to create 100 NFT, although it's kind of dry at times, but yeah, I totally feel you on this. You just have to keep pushing it. Yeah, you're right. You should keep pushing and doing it. No excuse, even if shit you think, but we think is cool. Bring the banana boy back. Bring Brandon back. Everybody likes the banana. You know what? I'll think of a way. I'll think of a way. Okay. I'm always inclined to believe that the best way of knowing is to love a great deal. Love that friend, that person, that thing, whatever you like. You'll be on the right path to knowing more thoroughly afterwards. That's what I say to myself. But you must love with a high, serious, intimate sympathy, with a will, with intelligence. And you must always seek to know more thoroughly, better, and more. Oh, I might hang this one on my wall. Let's copy this one in my notes here. I might hang this one on my wall. What is the prerequisite for building a better web together? I think it's, to be able to listen and love each other and create trust spaces. Okay. Yep. I didn't get this one, but it's about knowing how I might myself be better. Yep. I agree. Yep. That's the first thing. All right, cool. If you enjoyed this article and want to stumble around brain pickings more, we recommend you start here. Okay, cool. Next time. All right. We finished the introduction to Kernel. Now let us review. Let's review. Kenny says, just do it. Just do it. I'll do it. I'll do it. Cool. So let us review right here what I need to do. I need to talk. I need a conversation will be junto style, hosted around a chapter from the Kernel book. We hope you enjoyed this pre-read below and consider how you might contribute to a conversation around the topic. Okay. So there's a topic here. Let me check my email so that I can actually click on the link. All right. Welcome to KB4 Interviews. We hope you enjoyed the pre-read below and consider how you might contribute to a conversation around the topic. Better questions. Yep. Okay. All right. Let us read this topic. Asking better questions. Let's start this week with a short list. Number 1, the most simple, seemingly silly questions are almost always the most profound. Okay. I will think about that one. Number 2, good questions must come from a sincere desire to learn rather than as a veiled means of stating your own opinion. Yeah, I feel like I usually do that. I'm someone who really has an honest desire to learn when I ask questions. So yeah. Number 3, experts rarely ask good questions. Be a beginner always. Hello. You want to join my stream?
No. How many viewers do you have right now?
Oh, right now I have 0. So you're good. But I had 1 for a while.
Kenny?
Yeah. Well, one of my classmates, Kenny. He was cool. He was very interactive with me. Gave me a lot of motivation. Yeah. Well, I'm almost done studying.
Okay. Goodbye.
You should stream with me next time.
No.
What are you up to?
I should stream myself just browsing through fan art.
You really should.
Dude. Oh, I just had a call with Sujay.
Oh, nice. How'd it go?
It went really well.
Was it useful?
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
I actually got more killer feature ideas.
Talk to customers.
Yep. But more importantly, I said like customers.
Oh, Kenny says hi. He's still here. I don't know why it says 0 right now.
Oh.
But I got a comment.
Oh.
You want to say hi?
Hi, Kenny. Nice to meet you. I'm Catherine.
This is Catherine.
Hello.
Say hi to us. Hello. It could be a lag too, but
yeah. Okay, see ya.
All right, see ya. Awesome. Okay, where were we? Number 3, experts rarely ask good questions, so be a beginner always. Yep. Questions are an opportunity to be humbled. You know, one thing I noticed actually is on Twitter, a lot of tweets that get a lot of engagement are actually questions. People would be like, all right, can someone explain what Bitcoin is to me? And then there will be a huge thread of responses. So I think that's kind of funny. Number 4, questions are an opportunity to be humbled. Asking good questions is indistinguishable from practicing humility. Okay, I like that. Own up to what you don't know. It will set others free, and you may end up coming closer to the shared truths, which are a hallmark of honest conversation between peers. Wow. Close listening and clear attention are preconditions for good questions. A real master is the pupil in the eye of the world. Don't be afraid of letting others teach you. It does not degrade you, it uplifts you. The ego doesn't always acknowledge this simple truth. Yeah, agreed. All right, cool. Asking better questions is about process and practice. Kenny says hi. Awesome. Oh, there's a second person now. It looks like for a while we had a second person. I don't know if it was 1 and then it was 0 and then it's 2. So I don't know. I don't know how it tracks it. Okay, cool. So right here, this goes to the heart of thinking methodology we're advocating here. If you're able to identify patterns of meaning by considering the complementary opposites implied by any idea you are presented with, you will naturally ask better, simpler, and more direct questions. Okay, I would like to see what an example of this is. Question here: the sorts of shared truths which create value are a hallmark of what kind of conversation between peers? Honest? Is it honest? There we go. Boom. Boom. Got it. All right. The starting point is to ask yourself, what does this really mean? It's not about how can I use this or why is everyone else excited? It's about whether you can understand the basic principles. If you can't, it's either because it's not a well-formed idea, in which case just move on, or because you need to learn a new skill in order to understand its implications, which implies again that you need to be willing to learn if you are to practice the art of asking better questions. Now, how do you develop a willingness to learn? It begins with clarity and honesty about what you don't know. As soon as you stop hiding behind all the ego's pretenses and claims to knowledge, you will realize how little each of us actually knows. I think this is so true. Ever since I joined the workforce, I'm 26 this year. I started working when I was 20. So it's been about 6 years working professionally in industry. And I really realized, most people don't know that much. They're constantly learning in order to put something new out there. And I think once that clicked for me, then it made me really motivated to learn and do things myself. So yeah, I like this. Such honesty automatically makes you more incentivized to improve yourself because no one likes feeling inept, even though we all are. Yeah, that's true. I'm going to copy this one into my notes. Where's my notes? Here we go. Here we go. My notes. Nice. All right, in so doing, you can begin to experience the benefits of a beginner's mind yourself, not conceptually, but in the actual course of your life. Beginner's mind is about starting now, trying for yourself, being frustrated by your lack of expertise, and letting your heart show your mind how to celebrate this fecund state of not knowing. What does fecund mean? I used to know this word. Producing or capable of producing an abundance of offspring or new growth. Fertile. Yeah, okay. How to celebrate this fertile state of not knowing, for therein lies both truth and liberation. All right, cool. We highly recommend you treat yourself to these unsolicited life lessons from Kevin Kelly. They will deepen your approach to the rest of this week's materials. All right, cool. Let's take a look. 68 bits of unsolicited advice. This is going to be fun. Can you share the notes? Oh, yeah, I can share the notes. You're talking about this page, right? Yeah, let's do it. Albert's notes. I can share this page. I'm just going to delete this because I don't think you guys need this. This is my personal email for the interview. And then I'll share. It's kind of messy notes, but if it's useful, it's useful. I'll do So it's not this page, it's not this page. It is, where did I go? This one. There you go. Here we go. This is the URL. And I'm gonna put this back in the title. Come on. Notion is so hard to use. All right, we did it. Albert Notes, and then I can share this, share it to the web. And I'm going to allow comments. And I can copy that. I'm gonna share here. Wow. Kenny says, just now I watch when I'm driving. I'm done bathing and brushing my teeth, and I'm bringing you all along. Kenny, I love you. You're amazing. You're amazing. All right, I'm going to post my notes as a comment here in the YouTube chat. And so if you don't see it, let me know, but that's the link. You can copy that, and that's the live notes. You can even comment on my notes if you want. But it's not super organized. It's just, quotes and stuff that I want to look at again later. All right, cool. So I want to look at these 68 life lessons just for fun. Okay, 68 bits of unsolicited advice. It's my birthday. I'm 68. I feel like pulling up a rocking chair and dispensing advice to the youngins. Here are 68 pithy bits of unsolicited advice, which I offer as my birthday present to all of you. And for my 69th birthday, I made it. Oh, he has another one. Cool. All right, let's go through these real quick, lightning round, and see which ones I like and don't like. No one asked for this, but I'm just going to do it. Learn how to learn from those you disagree with or even offend you. See if you can find the truth in what they believe. I agree with this really strongly. I used to fight with my dad a lot, but ever since I started thinking in this way, I actually have built a better relationship with my dad. Being enthusiastic is worth 25 IQ points. I agree with that too. You don't have to be the smartest person in the room, but you can be the most energetic. And we were talking about this the other day, actually. Catherine's back.
I just tweeted at you.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What did you tweet?
You should check.
Okay.
It's pretty useless.
Catherine says, TBH, I thought Instagram was showing me an ad for Tomato Coin. I've somehow gotten really deep into this. Hey, you should link my Tomato Coin rap.
Oh, I should have. Wait, can you
I'll
edit
link
it? No, wait. Oh, yeah, you should just do that.
All right, go on.
It turns out I was actually being marketed real tomatoes.
Real tomatoes. All right, let's see. View all. And where's my tomato one? I think it's this one, day 4. Here, I'm going to tweet this, and I'm going to tweet the creator of Tomato Coin too. Here's a rap about Tomato Coin. I think it's Tomato Token.
Oh shit. Awkward.
Uber.
I tried.
Yeah. Does this make you proud? Because he's the guy who created it, and he's like this big real estate guy. All right, cool. Back to business. Okay, we're currently going lightning round through these 68 bits of unsolicited advice. You can react to them if you want. Being enthusiastic is worth 25 IQ points.
Okay, well that explains a lot.
What? Why?
Why my IQ points are so low.
Because you're not enthusiastic.
Not really. No, I mean, I think I just have a very monotone voice. And I've actually gotten feedback from people who say that they just feel like I sound really sarcastic when I genuinely mean excitement. Yeah.
Okay, well, that's a good lesson for me too, because I feel like I'm not always like that. I try to be, but I think this gives me a good reason to continue to try. So next one, always demand a deadline. A deadline weeds out the extraneous and the ordinary. It prevents you from trying to make it perfect, so you have to make it different. Different is better. I like this. This resonates with me with my rap challenge. I'm trying all these different things because it's my first time doing like a continuous thing. So in my rap challenge, if you look at my OpenSea collection once again, I have all of these. Oh, wow. Why did it log me out? Okay, I'll just look at it later. It's fine. But yeah, I'm trying all these different topics and camera angles and everything.
So funny story. Yesterday.
Kenny says hi.
Oh, hi, Kenny. So there's this presentation that I knew I had to do sometime in August, but I didn't know when. So internally, I set a deadline for myself for August 20th. And then I finally got the slot scheduled. It was August 19th.
Oh, nice.
Sometimes when you think about these things, it just automatically happens. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's very on point.
That's good. That's a good habit of yours. You set your own deadline. Yeah. That's awesome. Cool. Don't be afraid to ask a question that may sound stupid because 99% of the time, everyone else is thinking of the same question and is too embarrassed to ask it.
Yeah, I have another story about this one too.
Yeah, tell me your story.
So
this is Kat's stream now.
a bunch
She goes by
of-
Catherine, by the way.
Yeah, I go by Catherine. But recently, in a lot of conversations, people have been talking about like killer features,
Mhm.
and like it's such a fluffy word, right? Everyone's just like, "Oh, that's their killer feature." Or, "What's your killer feature?"
Yeah.
And I'm just like, "What does that even mean?" So then I finally asked one of the teammates on my team, and he was like, honestly, it's just jargon, but this is what it means to me. And then this other PM on my team messaged me and was like, "Hey, I know this is a silly question, but I have no idea what killer feature really means." I'm like, "Me neither." None of us know.
Wow, this is a perfect example to this point. Don't be afraid to ask the question. Yeah, that's really funny. Because I've definitely heard that a lot. Killer feature.
Yeah.
But then if you really try to define it, it's like,
how's it different from like a differentiator, an unfair advantage, a competitive advantage? It's just stupid business jargon.
Right. Just business jargon.
Just business jargon.
All right, cool. Being able to listen well is a superpower. While listening to someone you love, keep asking them, "Is there more?" until there is no more. A worthy goal for a year is to learn enough about a subject so that you can't believe how ignorant you were a year earlier. Oh, I like that.
I like that.
I'm going to copy this down too. I'm sharing these notes. Video in my chat. That's a really nice goal because it's not like output based, right? It's not like I'm going to be a millionaire. It's like I want to learn about how to be a millionaire or something like that. And then if you get to the point where you can't believe how ignorant you were a year earlier about how to be a millionaire, that means you've actually learned a lot about how to be a millionaire. Cool. Gratitude would unlock all other virtues and is something you can get better at. Yeah. I find that there are days when I wake up and I'm just grumpy, but then I'll actually take like 5 minutes to sit there and think to myself, I'm so grateful that I have a roof over my head and I have food from Costco that's delicious that I can microwave and eat, and I have enough money so that I can chase my dreams for a while. And once I think about all those things, I'm like, I'm not having a bad day. I'm having a great day. Treating a person to a meal never fails and is so easy to do. It's powerful with old friends and a great way to make new friends. This is why I barbecue and I invite people over and I make food for them, because then we have a great time together.
It's really interesting because like pre-Venmo days or like pre-digital cash days, people always paid in cash, and it's really hard to split a meal, right? And so what I find in Chinese culture, I don't know about American culture, but like in Chinese culture, when you gather a big family together,
yeah, you pay for everybody.
Yeah, there's this concept called 请客, and I don't know if Kenny is.
Yeah, he's in Singapore.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
I think he speaks Chinese too. Yeah.
Yeah, where you just pay for everyone, right?
Yeah.
But like these days, it's so easy to split money with Venmo. I have never had a friend really treat me to dinner before.
That's true.
Yeah.
But also, I feel like in the Bay Area, it's a little bit different because it's so expensive. If you just treat everybody to meals all the time, you're actually like you're gonna pay a huge amount of your like paycheck just to doing that.
That is true.
So.
Yeah. But even between significant others as well, it's just like so much easier to split money these days. I'm just stating a fact, okay?
It's true. Yeah.
Like chivalry redefined.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Hey, you're the moneymaker in this relationship now. All right. Reading to your children regularly will bond you together and kickstart their imaginations. Yeah, this is why I read to you.
Let's move on.
Never use a credit card for credit.
What's TGT?
You both should do together often in the channel. Wait, what is Lao Gao? So I suddenly feel you both like Lao Gao channel now.
I don't know what Lao Gao
Hey
is.
Kenny, what does Lao Gao mean? Let us know in the chat.
Yeah.
All right. Pros are just amateurs
Wait, you
who know.
skip one. Never use a credit
Oh
card.
yeah. The only kind of credit or debt that is acceptable is debt to acquire something whose exchange value is extremely likely to increase, like in a home. The exchange value of most things diminishes or vanishes the moment you purchase them. Don't be a debt to losers. Yeah, this is true. Buy assets. Hey, I have a video on this. Buy assets. Don't buy liabilities. Buy assets.
Which assets?
Not this one.
Yeah, my parents never read to me either.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why I don't have imagination.
Yeah. I'm just kidding. Hey, you read a lot now. You read a lot now.
No, I need someone to read to me.
I'll read to you.
No.
Kenny says, I'll send you guys the link later. Okay, thanks, Kenny. Cool. Yeah, don't be in debt to losers. Okay, next one. Pros are just amateurs who know how to gracefully recover from their mistakes. That's true. I have always thought of pros as people who can be really consistently at a high level. And if you're an amateur, it doesn't mean you can't operate at a high level. You can't be like really good at something. But I think when you're an amateur, you're just not that good all the time. But pros are that good all the time. And that's what makes them like pros, you know, they're good, even like they're good during the moments that matter the most. So, yeah. Cool. Extraordinary claims should require extraordinary evidence to be believed.
Dude, I love this because I feel like in work, it's extraordinary claims it ends up just requiring extraordinary confidence to be believed in that work.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes it's just the loudest person in the room that ends up convincing everyone. But I mean, conviction has some merit.
Definitely.
But, you know.
I feel this way about all this metaverse stuff right now. Like, I think it's really interesting, but it's so new that so much of the success, I feel like, really depends on these loud people like me, like a creator, going out and like talking about it. So I'm sure in your work too, if you're spearheading your own project, you got to go out there and be like, hey guys, this project is cool, you know? So that will be your extraordinary evidence. All right, next one. Don't be the smartest person in the room. Hang out with and learn from people smarter than yourself. Even better, find smart people who will disagree with you. This is the reason why I'm so interested in joining a group like Kernel, because I think it'll bring me to these types of people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So with this, I recently, actually something happened this morning, but like recently I decided to just put my thoughts down on a page, kind of addressing some of the most existential problems of my project. And then I shared it with my immediate team, and everyone that's read it has just been like, oh wow, this is amazing. No loopholes. Like I was asking them for feedback on loopholes and to see if my argument has legs. And so then I just got so tired of so much agreement. I went up to the most controversial person ever and I was like, hey, can you tear this apart?
Yeah.
And then he did. And now I'm shook.
You're like, all right, I got what I asked for.
But fuck.
I need to go recover now. That's funny. But yeah, that's good. Like you're a perfect example of this bullet point. You know, you realize, okay, I don't want to be the smartest person in the room. Let me go invite some other guy who has some unique thoughts. Kenny says, yeah, Albert are reading and input solid information to us. That's why I feel smarter now and double couple input now. It's true. It's true. We got a power dynamic here. Not power dynamic. That's power couple. That's what I'm saying.
No one calls themselves a power couple, Albert.
Yeah, I just demoted us to non-power couple. All right, cool. Rule of 3 in conversation. To get to the real reason, ask a person to go deeper than what they just said. And then again, and once more. The third time's answer is close to the truth. I feel like we do that for each other a lot. Like if I'm ranting to you and I'm saying, oh, I'm having a tough time at work and I don't know how to like make this video, you're going to be like, why do you want to make this video? And that's like the first, first question. And then usually helps me like come up with some ideas. Don't be the best, be the only. You know, the thing though, I think what I'll add to this is I think you can copy the best for a while until you figure out how you can be the only. Because I think when you copy, you learn really fast and you realize what works and what doesn't work. And then you're like, okay, now I'm me. Everyone is shy. Other people are waiting for you to introduce yourself to them. They are waiting for you to send them an email. They are waiting for you to ask them on a date. Go ahead. Oh, I like this. Oh, by the way, this list is a guy who turned 68 and is giving 68 bits of unsolicited advice.
Yeah. Wait, why are you reading this? I
Oh.
literally don't even know what you're doing.
I know. So this is okay. So I'm reading the prompt for Kernel is we're gonna have this interview where I'm gonna be talking with other people who are interviewing, and we're gonna be talking about this pre-read section, which is this module 2.
Okay.
And so in here they linked this article. Let's just pause there. There's gonna be too many, and it's gonna take us forever to go through it. So what's the point of reading that? Questioning better questions. Corey Petty and Justin B questioned the claim made in point 3 above. What is point 3? Experts rarely ask good questions. Be a beginner always. Yeah, this one felt weird to me. I think that experts are actually the ones who can always ask good questions.
Yeah.
Yeah. Beginners, I think what they mean is like they do this by having a beginner mindset, you know? But I think if you're a true beginner, sometimes you don't even know what questions to ask. But the experts are the ones who are continuously able to ask good questions over and over and over again, you know?
I don't necessarily think they operate with a beginner mindset. I just think that sometimes experts just have so much experience
that they know how to ask good questions.
That they want to make sure that you've thought about things.
Mm-hmm.
And so they can ask really unique questions because of their like abundant experience.
Right. Yeah. But I mean, that's just
By
in the
unique,
context
I mean,
of
like,
them
something that
helping
you
you,
haven't
right?
thought
But
of.
I'm thinking of it in the perspective of who are they as experts? And I think when you are an expert, you can ask good questions a lot. Yeah. And it ties into what you're saying there. If an expert is helping you, they can also apply that skill. Yeah. So yeah, I agree. Cool. So this section is saying that these two people, I don't know who they are. Let's check out who Corey. Oh, okay. It's a Bitcoin podcast guy. Sure. They question this claim that in point 3, they question this statement. Experts rarely ask good questions, be a beginner always. Okay. The debate boils down to whether asking good questions in general is an ability best developed through disciplined exercise of a rational skill or the cultivation of a beginner's mind. Okay, it's just kind of like what we just talked about. In particular, techniques like the Socratic method develop rational inquiry in order to fuel deeper, more intuitive understanding of a given method. Oh, I think I've used this at work actually. It's basically asking like why 5 times.
Didn't we learn this in school?
Oh wait, it's not even asking why 5 times. Yeah, I think we do it. Like they teach it, which is like instead of conversing and making statements, you keep asking questions. It has the following steps: assert a thesis, decide whether the thesis is false, secure the interlocutor's agreement to further premises, then argue, and then claim that he has shown it to be false and the negation is true. That's a really complicated way of saying what this is. I'm sure they'll talk about it in here. So Corey writes, questions are challenging. Yep. Experience and reflection, learning from our mistakes and developing understanding all provide nuance. A mechanic doesn't develop his ability to diagnose a problem solely from introspection. It is through the combination of knowledge and understanding that intuition arises. I've spent most of my life honing skills that give me broad and deep understanding for the specific purpose of being able to ask good questions in any context. Okay, so Corey Petty is saying that I've developed the skill of asking good questions, and that's what makes me an expert, which is like why he questions this statement. I think experts rarely ask good questions. Or Justin B. I feel that knowledge of the specific, for example, computer science, translates directly into intuition around the general. Oh, that's interesting. That's kind of an interesting take where it's like the more deeply you understand something, the more it allows you to understand broad truths. What do you think about that? The mechanic or scientist's skill does grow more nuanced through acquisition of knowledge and skill by the exercise of discipline, and this does lead to more specific questions about utility. In this way, honing a skill leads to asking questions about that particular discipline, which is a good thing. Some of these passages, I feel like they could simplify the language.
Yeah.
But I think this point is interesting, what that this guy is saying, which is like, if you have really deep knowledge, it translates directly into intuition that's more general, that can be applied to more things, which I think is true. I found that's true.
In my head, I'm just deciding if that's correct or not, because I think deep knowledge, like define deep, is that like a lot of knowledge, like very technical knowledge? Like what is deep knowledge?
The way I resonate with this is like by going really deep in my software engineering career, I actually found parallels to problem solving in my job.
So that's the thing.
Into bouldering.
That's
rock
the thing
climbing, right?
that I'm struggling in my head to reconcile, because I feel like having deep knowledge in itself isn't sufficient. Like you need the ability to think laterally and like make connections fast. But deep doesn't necessarily mean that you can draw a lot of connections between like A and something unrelated.
I get what you're saying. Yeah. So you're challenging this wording, which with them saying it translates directly into intuition around the general. Because there might be a step that not everyone has taken. Yeah.
Like at work, right?
So what is that
I've
step,
definitely
though?
talked to people who just have so much experience around one particular thing, but then when you have them kind of shift their perspective a little to see this other thing, that's like really challenging to have them do, because they're like so used to one mental model.
That's interesting.
And then it's hard to get them to see a different perspective.
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe, okay, I'm going to take that and run with it. My hypothesis now is that if you have specific knowledge or deep knowledge in two areas, I think like two more unrelated areas, then that makes it easier for you to develop that lateral. I think that's my hypothesis. That's how it works.
Yeah.
Because you have to be able to see these two different worlds. And then because you've seen these two different worlds, internally you're like, I need to make them into one world because I'm one person.
Yeah.
So then by doing that, then you're like forcing the connections. Yeah.
And you still need to be inherently kind of open-minded too.
Yeah.
Like open to experiencing other domains.
Right.
Yeah.
Open to experiencing other domains. Yeah. And what do you mean by that?
Like, for
I agree
example,
with it. I just want to hear you talk about it more.
But my personal example is I'm a product manager, and recently I've had to learn how to remodel a house, which requires a lot of planning and like communicating with the people that are actually doing things. And I feel like I've taken lessons from my day job of being a product manager to like a client who is doing a renovation project, and just like learning about communicating with engineers in general, about like being specific about what to do and like unblocking any risks, asking the right questions ahead of time and stuff like that. But this only happened because I was like open to learning more about the mechanics of home renovation and how stuff works there.
Yeah. I see. By opening your mind, you're able to make that jump to this other deep knowledge spike and apply the same things that you learned in their first deep knowledge spike with PM.
And all this kind of goes back to what Matt was saying about being a generalist, or like developing that T-shaped mindset where you have domain exposure to a lot of different things, but like a skill set in one area, so that you can quickly draw a lot of connections across different areas in work and life, whatever, but you can still offer like a unique skill and perspective because of your expertise. Right. Anyway, we're probably going off topic.
No, this is good. I mean, one of the things they really teach like culturally in this program is to have horizontal conversations, not vertical conversations, where it's about people listening to each other and really listening to each other, and that's why they ask these things like, or what was the thing that we just read? The asking questions.
Beginner's mind.
I forget what it is, but it's like, was it in this thing? Yeah, to get to the real reason, ask a person, right? So it's like, I'm trying to apply some of that stuff. Sorry about that. Cool. So let's get back to this. So number 8, asking good questions requires a deep appreciation of context. However, beginner's mind is not opposed to rational inquiry and the honing of skill. It is, in fact, the pinnacle, the peak of such discipline. Consider the Socratic method more closely. Socratic circles are based upon the interaction of peers. That this is something they're really big on. They talk about this in the introduction. And they're talking about it again in chapter 2. Socratic circles are based on the interaction of peers. The focus is to explore multiple perspectives on a given issue or topic. The pedagogy of Socratic questions is open-ended, focusing on broad, general ideas rather than specific factual information. The technique emphasizes a level of questioning and thinking where there is no single right answer.
This is like precisely what I struggle with at work.
Why?
Because everyone acts like there is a right answer, but there isn't. And then I feel like a lot of people think that the role of the product manager is to like champion the vision and be like the driver, the decision maker.
Yeah.
But I operate in like more of this way.
Yeah.
And I feel like the way I operate as a result, it's like less culturally accepted sometimes, where it's just like weird. Like, oh, why is she not the loudest person in the room? Why is she not the one that's always talking? Like, I like to listen a lot.
Right.
And like some people have pointed that out and be like, huh, you give a very zen energy.
And it's not necessarily a compliment all the time either, right?
Yeah,
it's kind of like
it feels like a backhanded compliment, like it's bad.
It's like good, but it's also like I don't expect you to be.
Yeah, but it's like what I struggle with.
Okay, wait, I gotta tell the viewers here, which is just Kenny right now. But I think so. One thing, what she's talking about is your personality is the strategist type, the architect, right? And your personality is someone who likes to understand, take in information, and build a plan, like playing chess. And for her work, she can't always just sit in the back playing chess. She has to go out there and lead people and get stuff done and tell people, hey, this is the way we need to do it. And then she doesn't always do that, you know? So the architect, I just kind of want to show everyone. The architect.
Oh, look, you're exposing me to the internet. That's okay, we have one person.
Kenny, our biggest fan.
Our biggest fan. He's on his way to work now.
Yep. He's in the MRT. Oh, it's called MRT in Singapore too.
In Taiwan, it's also called the MRT.
Yeah, Catherine's from Singapore.
No, I'm not from Singapore.
Sorry.
I'm from Taiwan.
I've been talking for too long now. I've been in live for 2.5 hours. She's from Taiwan, yeah. Okay, cool. So architect INTJ is a person with, why am I doing this? Yeah, anyways, the architect. So, you know, it's the person who likes to think and understand. And I feel like Catherine is really good at that. And that's why I think you really resonate with this culture, right? Because this allows you to understand, it allows you to think. But what I think this is not good for is getting stuff done, right? Like that's why corporate culture is like not like this all the time. Only the executive team, the higher up you go, the more I think you're gonna have Socratic circles, right? They're gonna have like your hubs with like your teammates and not teammates, but like your executive team. And then they're all gonna be like, all right, which team should we fund today? You know?
The goals someday.
Which team should we give millions of dollars to build a new product? Oh, Kenny says he loves Taiwan, miss going there.
Me too, Kenny.
I've visited one time. My family's Chinese, so I've been to China a bunch of times, but I've been to Taiwan one time, and it was really fun. I spent some time with Catherine there a couple of years ago. But yeah, you know, that's the goal. I think you would make a great fit for like really high up leadership positions, like board roles. You know what I mean? Because you could sit there and be like, have you thought about this? Have you thought about this? And then you don't have to go do it, you know?
Dude, this is why people love coming to me for presentations. Like, I have a pitch. Can you like tear it apart? I'm like, yes. Have you thought about this? What about that? And like, when I ask these questions, I don't expect a right answer most of the time. I'm just like, I want to hear about your perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, have you exercised this
for this
muscle?
program? Yeah. Cool. All right, let's finish this part. Rational inquiry demands a diagnosis, a solution, an end to a process which had its beginning in the mind. What can such a mind do in the face of no single right answer? It can develop negative capability. What is this? Negative capability is a phrase used by Romantic poet John Keats to explain the capacity of the greatest writers to pursue a vision of artistic beauty, even when it leads them into intellectual confusion and uncertainty, as opposed to a preference for philosophical certainty over artistic beauty. Huh. You know, what this makes me think of is it makes me think of sometimes like with pop music, if you really look at the lyrics, it makes no sense. Or it's just the stupidest thing they've ever said that you've ever heard someone say. But I think this is where negative capability comes in. I feel like the artist is able to create this experience that's beautiful. You're listening to the song, you're like bopping around, right? You're like, yeah, this is great. I'm gonna listen to this in the club. But like the actual parts of it, when you're going through the steps, you're like, I don't understand. Like, how did you put these stupid words together?
This is how I feel about EDM music.
Why?
Like, even though there are no words involved, I just compare classical music to EDM music. And then when I listen to, I don't know, Mozart, Beethoven, I'm like, yes, I can imagine this beautiful story arc. And then EDM is like,
and it's so popular.
Like, I mean, it sounds good, but like, it's hard for me to gain like the next level of appreciation. Yeah. But maybe I'm just not good at appreciating electronic music. I don't know.
I think there's an element of just like, you have to spend time understanding something, you know?
Yeah.
You got to use the Socratic method on EDM music.
Mm-hmm.
All right, cool. So back to this. It says it can develop, okay, what can such a mind do in the face of no single right answer? It can develop negative capability, but even this is insufficient. It's not enough because we're not after skillful intellectual understanding. We seek harmonious and clear ways of living. To achieve this, rational inquiry must not be denied, but taken to its own end in order to see, not that it does not currently know, but that it cannot know in principle.
Okay, this is why I didn't want to take philosophy.
Honest acceptance of the limitation of mind is the most effective method for cultivating the humble emptiness necessary for genuine curiosity and an interest which asks from the heart, and so goes to the heart of the subject being questioned. It is, as Paul Myberg says, perceptual rather than conceptual. Simple knowledge of things as they are, not our own complex understanding. You know, it's ironic because I think they're trying to give a really complex understanding of a really simple topic. And the simple topic is just, you know what you know. You know what you know. Like, you go out there and just discover the truth for yourself. That's, even if you can't logic it, even if you can't like write the numbers down, even if you can't describe it in words all the time, by you discovering it, that's the key thing. That's how you can stay honest to your own self. I think that's what they're trying to say, you know?
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. I think I'm gonna go.
All right, cool. All right, so I guess like the summary here, I don't know if they want me to read through this whole thing. Let's see. It says module 2, better questions. Okay, so I'm pretty sure it's just the first page. All right, cool. So basically they want us to ask better questions and use the Socratic method. And they don't want us to talk over each other. They want us to.
Yeah, it's really good for user research. I implement all of this when I do user research.
Oh.
That's why people think I'm a good researcher.
Can you tell me more?
I mean, I kind of just let the conversation flow. I'm not trying to impose opinions on people.
Right.
I just accept things for the way they are. And
Yeah.
dig a little bit deeper when I don't understand something, but not by telling them my opinions, but just simply being like, oh, you mentioned this thing. Tell me more about that.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. And it turns out that's a really hard skill to master in corporate setting.
Especially when people want to get things done.
Yeah, but then they end up just imposing their own biases.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So how do you guide a conversation when you know you want to get something out of it, but you don't want to influence it negatively?
I do things like, I think that it's more of like have them explore versus try to tell them a value. Have them self-realize the value of something rather than telling them what the value of something is. Yeah, it's kind of like when you're tutoring someone or when you're teaching someone a new concept, like you kind of want them to get to the conclusion on their own without like telling them the conclusion necessarily, because then like they actually understand a concept fully and like can give you a genuine perspective rather than like an influence perspective. Right. Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
And then I kind of just have to.
So what's an example? I think maybe it helps if you can give an example.
Yeah. So like, let's say I'm trying to see if this new feature our team is building is valuable. I don't want to just show up to the interview and be like, hey, let me show you what this feature does. Now you tell me what you think. I want them to walk through the feature
Maybe even
step by
discover
step.
the future.
Yeah, discover the future. It would be like, hey, what do you think that does? And then they'll be like, oh, I think it does this. And I'll just be like, oh, why don't you try it out? Is this what you expected?
Right.
And then at the end of the research session, I'll ask them, hey, you've seen the product so far. How would you describe what this thing does?
Right.
And then that like forces them to think about like what it is,
right?
Why they might,
what the experience was they just went through, how they're going to use it in the future.
Exactly.
I see. So can you give an example of what a bad experience would be?
A bad experience would be like coming up with a future idea and then going to that session and saying, hey, let me show you, let me demo this feature for you. And then like you demo it, you click through it instead of letting them do it. And then say, our feature is trying to do blah, 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 blah. Here's what it looks like. What do you think? Yeah.
Do you think that it matters?
Oh, hey, it's
oh my gosh, Chloe's watching.
Oh my God, Chloe. Okay, honestly, I am such a big fan of you. This is super creepy. I don't know if Albert has told you, but I heard about you because I know you're Matt's friend because Albert was like going to one of your
here, but yeah, go for it.
Events.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, maybe she is. I don't know. But yeah, Albert told me he was busy because he was like going to Matt's friend's, I think it was like open mic event.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's cool. And then somehow he linked me your YouTube or something, and I watched one of the Frozen songs that you sang, and I just really like your voice. And then like one day magically you appeared on my Instagram. I was like, huh, I feel like I've seen her somewhere before.
Yeah.
And I just followed you on Instagram, and I think it's really cool that you're a PM at TikTok and you're also Taiwanese.
Yeah, true. Oh my gosh, Chloe. Nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Thanks so much for joining the stream. We are currently going through this handbook by the Kernel Community, which is a Web3 blockchain developer like fellowship. And I got an interview and they said to prepare for the interview, read through this chapter and then talk about it. And this chapter is about asking good questions and having good conversations. So Catherine came in at the right time and now we're having good conversations about PM, about, asking good questions and doing good user research. That's something I want to learn too, because as a creator, I want to interview people and I want to be able to guide, I feel like have productive conversations, So,
yeah.
And you were about to give an example of what's like a bad user interview experience.
Yeah, so I've seen product managers go in with a new feature that they want to validate and literally just like demo the feature and explicitly tell the user, the feature does A, B, C, and D. Here's what it looks like. This is what it does. Now tell me how you would use it.
Right.
Yeah, and it's just like the information density is so fast and like the user isn't making it their own. They're being fed what this right answer is. And so it's really hard for them to just enable their imagination for how they would use it in the situations that they encounter day to day.
Right,
Yeah.
I see. So, okay, the reason why this is perking my ears up is because I've definitely seen like designers and PMs at previous companies go through that process. And I wonder, because I haven't seen that many interviews, I feel like, so I wonder if it's more of a artifact of B2B. Like if we're selling to an enterprise and our customers, they just want to be like, I got another meeting to go to, like show me what you got to show me, and also this tool that we're doing, it's like, I want you to get a specific job done. I know what that job is kind of already. So do you think there's a place for those types of interviews where you're more demoing and just getting a yes or no? Or do you think like it should pretty much just always be more? I think it's like two different kinds of meetings. One is like demo pitch kind of an interview, but then, meeting, not interview. But then like another one is making sure that when the user is using your product under a non-guided setting, can they actually figure shit out? Right.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's different purposes.
Yeah. The first one is more salesy and the second one is more researchy.
Right.
Yeah. And I think like for Atlassian, I haven't been in sales meetings. Like we don't have a sales team. So that's why I'm always doing like very research heavy conversations. Yeah.
That makes sense. Cool. So thanks so much for sharing all of that. That was great. Now I understand a lot more about user research.
We have 3 people viewing.
Wow, we have 3 people. Kenny was the OG, and then Chloe came on, and whoever is the third person is leave a comment, and we can engage. All right, cool. So we're almost done with this chapter of the book that I have to read to prepare for my interview. And for people who are just joining, this is the interview. This is Kernel. I'm interviewing for the 4th batch of Kernel. And what Kernel is this community of people who are trying to build companies using blockchain technology. And it's really exciting because they're having, each batch is 250 people, very diverse backgrounds, very diverse companies. Some people are building tech companies, some people are building education companies, all this stuff. And for me as a creator, what I'm trying to do is come in here and educate more people about blockchain and connect to people. So anyways, long spiel. That's why I'm excited about interviewing. And basically they gave me this email and they said, okay, read this chapter because this is kind of like our book and our culture. And then during the interview, it's a very interesting interview style. It's what they call junto style. And I believe what that is, and someone correct me if I'm wrong, is all the interviewees go in and they talk to each other. And then there's going to be like, I guess, people watching us and evaluating us, I guess. I don't know. I don't think it matters because I think the culture of it is really to ask good questions and understand each other better. So I really like that culture. So that's cool. Awesome. So we are at the end here. Oh, actually, no, we finished. So yeah, thanks so much for tuning in. I've actually been live now for 2 hours and 50 minutes. I don't know if you can see here. And this is the software I'm using, StreamYard. I actually really like it. I think it's like $10 a month. I might use it if I end up.
Wait, how is this different from like Twitch?
It's different from Twitch because I can actually stream multiple places at the same time. So I can stream Twitch, I think. I'm not sure actually. I remember Chloe mentioning to me, if once you reach affiliate status on Twitch, you can't stream on other platforms.
What? Wait, how did they check that?
No, like simultaneously. I'm not sure. I haven't done my research, so don't quote me or don't quote Chloe on that. But yeah, this is the thing I'm using. It's pretty cool. And then you can do these things like banners, you know, like, hey, featuring Kenny. And then also I can do this, like, I'm drinking boba. You know, that's pretty cool.
Okay.
Yeah, and then you can load like videos that you have prepared and stuff. Cool. Anyways, thanks so much for joining in, everybody who came. And yeah, I'm hoping to do more of these. This was my first live stream. I'm gonna do more where I'm gonna share what I'm learning. And Kenny says, I really think you should do more together more often. All right, we got a fan. That would be fun.
Dude, it was all me, man.
It was all you.
I stole the show. I'm sorry.
You really did. Pretty soon, she's gonna start her own channel, her own streams, and it's gonna blow up faster than me. So, yeah, this was fun. This is great. Thank you for joining. Unlike me, Catherine has a real job and real impact to manage in this world right now. So, yeah, we'll find a time. All right. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.